I'd never forget how quickly my life deteriorated. I thought I was having fun and trying something new. All I wanted was to try new things that my hubby wasn't offering. You know, it might be really horrible to get married when your heart still wants to do other things. It's like getting married when you're not ready to commit. My husband was incredibly uninteresting and always preoccupied with work, to the point where he didn't even bother to make time for me, his wife. He was always at work or on business travels that took months to return from. So I'm young and still lovely. So I thought, why not try something? I'd been missing out since I got married. My employment history isn't great, so some may understand when I suggest that old habits die hard. If I had known better, I would have done things differently or avoided doing anything that would harm my marriage and image. How does one deal with the most brutal and humiliating act committed by my husband as a result of anything I did wrong? How will I recover from this? Allow me to walk you through what transpired. Please don't judge me, but rather counsel me. So I, a 33-year-old woman, met my husband Dominic, a 40-year-old man, at a cafe in Los Angeles while concurrently working at a strip club on weekends and holidays. At the time, I was only 22. In a few months, I'll turn 23. If I'm not mistaken, he had come for a business meeting, as he once informed me that when we met, he was still trying to grow his architecture business after working as a building planner and designer the day before. It wasn't a very pleasant day for me because I wasn't working at a cafe because I wanted to, but it was due to the circumstances at home, because I was the only girl child who had the opportunity to further her studies, and I was raised by a single mother who is also dealing with her own drinking problems. So, in front of her and my younger siblings, I had to act maturely. I worked in a cafe to collect additional funds to pay for my education and make recommendations to care for my younger siblings, so I didn't have the opportunity to enjoy my youth and do what my peers did. One day, he requested for my phone numbers, informing me that he liked my service and wanted to know if I was working. Because there was. This time, one of my coworkers informed me that Dominic had came to the cafe when I wasn't there and requested to be served by me. When he was told that I was not working, he said he would go to another cafe for coffee until I returned. Mind you, I was in the middle of an exam at the time, so I needed to concentrate on my books. He was such a charming and smooth talker. I eventually started going out with him. He was a very intelligent and business-savvy individual, but what I saw about him was that he didn't take shit from anyone. I then discovered that he was truly a Capricorn. He was intelligent, business-savvy, witty, and friendly, but he had a short temper and was extremely rigid. He constantly desired excellence. I believed they were playing. When they say, never fool a Capricorn because their retaliation is always rage and cruelty, I learned the hard way. One thing I can advise people is to be prepared if they are dating a Capricorn while being a Gemini. Your partnership will constantly have major ups and downs since Gemini has a short temper, as does Capricorn. However, Capricorns are always looking for a competitive advantage. They are the leaders. So, as a Gemini, you must grasp this and thread carefully, because if you do it incorrectly, you will have poured gas or paraffin on an already raging devil's fire. Ask me. I know what it's like to date and marry a Capricorn while you're a Gemini, so I'm talking from experience. Anyway, Dominic was really passionate and sweet. He knew how to treat a woman like a queen, so we kept going out. He showered me with affection and presence. Every day, my feelings for him became stronger. I eventually realized I felt possessive or infatuated with him. I do not know. I'd get irritated if he didn't return my calls, or if he showed up to one of his meetings in a cafe with a lady. Was I crazy or possessive about the poor guy? Time passed, and we began dating. He had acknowledged his emotions for me, but I kept rejecting him and preferring a friendship connection since I assumed I was not the type of girl he would want to be with. I was terrified to inform him about my employment as a stripper and sex worker to make money. I couldn't tell him what I did for a living except that I worked at a cafe, which he had known when we first met there. I was ashamed of my second job, but I had also fallen for the guy. But I was doubting myself. After 1 year of dating, he proposed, and we married. My mother was also fine. Dominic had gotten her some therapy to overcome her alcohol problem, and he was taking wonderful care of my siblings. I wouldn't need to ask for myself. I mean, he was providing plenty for me and my family, but one thing I knew was that I wasn't sure if I loved him profoundly or just liked the pleasures he offered. I graduated before we married, and he wanted to develop his own empire, which included having offspring who would take over after he retired or died. Time passed, and I promised myself that I would leave the strip club and focus on my new venture business, which my husband had helped me create. I had formed a marketing company to advertise or promote his architectural firm, which evolved over time from promoting my husband's business to promoting for larger corporations. I enjoyed the transformation that was taking place. Being independent and able to enjoy my own hard-earned money while knowing that my family was being cared for. It was a breath of fresh air, especially knowing that your mother had transformed into the person you had always hoped she would be. My business was doing nicely. I had stopped working as a stripper and sex worker after a few months of dating Dominic. His love, care, and affection would not allow me to stay with the work, therefore I had to change for him. Not just for him, but also for my own personal growth. So when I worked at a strip club, I had regular clients who would simply phone me and ask for my services in exchange for payment. Of course, they were quite helpful at the time, but when I began a relationship with Dominic and realized it was becoming serious, I had to cancel all of our transactions and erase their contact information since I didn't want to jeopardize my first serious relationship. About a few months later, I began to feel ill, to the point that my husband became concerned and decided to take me to the doctor since I was losing weight and had no energy to even meet my spouse's demands as I should. That illness was freaking me out since I had imagined the worst. For example, my husband might cheat or find someone better who can fulfill his desires and bear him a child. Or he'd divorce me because he couldn't cope with a sick person. But he stayed and even took several months off work to care for me. I'd appreciate that until my last breath. So the doctor admitted me, stating that my blood level was too low. I wasn't eating well enough, which was dangerous, especially given my condition. My husband wasn't sure what the doctor was talking about. So was I. So he went on to explain that we were pregnant at the same time as I was. I was happy, but my husband was happier, and I enjoyed watching him so happy. Since then, he has become overly concerned with my well-being and eating habits. But he was overdoing it, and I couldn't complain. You know, I had a terrific support system from my hubby, not to mention the love he bestowed on me. It was incredibly refreshing. I am not sure what went wrong with him. I suppose it was selfishness and avarice. I'm not sure how much, but our private moments satisfied me. But he loved me, and I should have accepted it. So what did I do? I betrayed him in a very painful and nasty way. A year later, I gave birth to a very charming and lovely baby girl. Wasn't I happy? I was overjoyed, but my husband had hoped for a boy. So, a year after our daughter was born, Dad became aloof, leaving for work earlier than usual and returning later. Our marriage was no longer the same, which broke my heart because he had been quite kind and supportive throughout the pregnancy. But when the child was born, he stayed for 6 months. Then he began his ex. Dominic's behavior and absence from our daughter and me made me think more about him. He was no longer the kind, passionate, gentle, and caring spouse I had married. Wasn't he the one who had been bugging me about creating our own family, expanding his enterprise, and all that? But when the kid was born, he changed, for the worst. Despite the fact that the child resembled him, he was not motivated to show his child love and care. He treated me as if I was or had been cheating on him. Dominic's behavior remained same over time, although it deteriorated with each passing day. I could not handle it anymore. It was tearing me apart because I had no idea what his problem was, and when I tried to talk to him about it, he said there was none, and he adored our daughter. His words said something different than his actions, so what he said and what he did were not even close to intersecting. So I took my child to my mother's home. I was relieved that my mother had completely recovered from her alcohol addiction and had become a mother. We had always longed for Grandma to adore me and my brothers, and she also loved my kid, which made me thankful. So I left my newborn girl for 2 months, telling my mother that I wanted to repair my marriage with Dominic and beg him to accept that he could have a kid, even if she wasn't what he had hoped for. But she remained his kid, blood and soul. Despite my efforts to save our marriage, the man of the house did not appear to change. Yes, he would say he loved me. But how about our daughter? What was he doing with me? And our daughter was gradually draining the affection I had for him. What is love exactly? If you don't show it, keep saying it as if it were a chorus from your favorite music. How can someone claim to love you when they can't love their own seed? It was really confused and painful, because if I had to pick between my husband and our daughter, I would absolutely choose our daughter because the love he claimed he had for us was inadequate. In reality, his actions told a different story than his words. One day, he invited his pals to a wedding to celebrate his achievement in obtaining a client in Africa. I was proud of him and his accomplishments. I will not lie. He had worked extremely hard to obtain that contract, and he was eventually successful due to his diligence and dedication. So, as the kind wife that I am, I assisted him in preparing for the braai he was hosting. He had asked me to assist him since he wanted to celebrate first with his friends and then invite the family when the contract was confirmed and signed. I helped him with whatever he needed. My daughter was still with my mother at the time, so I wasn't familiar with all of his buddies until they arrived. I knew only a few. I received the shock of my life. Back when I worked at a strip club, I had 2 of his pals as clients. One of them used to request my intimate services, while the other would visit the strip club for the dance, only. I couldn't believe how small the world was, and I became concerned that they may tell my husband about my past with them. Another thing I didn't know was that they were my husband's pals because they didn't attend our wedding reception. The worst part was that both of them had requested my services 2 weeks before my wedding to Dominic. They had asked me on different days, and I would not have guessed that they were buddies. Yes, I am not proud of what I did to my husband because he had given me nothing but pure love, and the guys had promised to pay me well, and they expected good service before going on a business trip. This was what they told me. If I had known they were my husband's buddies, I would not have agreed to commit adultery. 2 weeks before I got married, I was quite uncomfortable throughout the entire party. The men's lustful stares made me even more uncomfortable. I had no idea how these guys would behave when they got drunk because they were drinking as if it was their last time, or what they would tell Dominic. You know how some men are. And based on what I saw, it appeared that the entire team knew the 2 guys were womanizers. The other liked going to strip clubs, and the other liked sex, so it was frightening. I wasn't even myself, but fortunately no one noticed. About a month later, I got a call from Tom, one of Dominic's pals who enjoyed sex. I was astonished because he hadn't phoned me since the last time we saw each other before my wedding. He requested me to meet him at a specific hotel for a quick one, which I politely declined and informed him that I was no longer interested in that lifestyle and was happily married. I said that to get him off my back and hope he got the point, even if I wasn't happy. It had been a long time since things had been tight in my marriage house. My husband was acting suspiciously, as if he was hiding something from me. I initially felt it was due to work pressure, but things worsened. He became instantly grumpy. His sexual desire was no longer the same. He acted as if he didn't love our baby or try to play with her. That was nothing compared to how he treated me alone. So when I informed Tom that I was happily married, He scoffed and said that if I was happily married, I would have behaved cheerful when they came to Dominic's celebratory brie. I initially didn't grasp what he was implying, but I remembered that he was the only client who knew me at my happiest, or when I pretended to be happy. He told me to know my worth, and whether the battle with Dominic was worthwhile, and how long would I battle for something and someone who wouldn't even look at me when they were in my home. What he was saying was correct, but I couldn't give him that satisfaction simply because my spouse had turned on me. I remained optimistic that he would return to his former self. When we first started dating, my marketing company was doing well on the other end. It was the best diversion I had in the past. I decided to start getting out and living a little. I never had time to do all that and enjoy my money since I was preoccupied with the issue at home. So I started by going to the mall to shop, believing that it would lift my spirits. Just like all the girls who claim that shopping is fantastic therapy. However, this was not the case for me. I will not lie. My spouse was aware that I was a lover of tenderness and intimacy, yet the way he acted made me frustrated and full of yearning for intimacy, though I didn't want to do that to my husband because it would ruin our marriage. I couldn't take it any longer and would occasionally assist myself. So when I went shopping, I purchased a lot of lingerie, expecting that they would light up my husband's eyes when he saw me wearing a seductive piece. So when I went home, I made his favorite dinner. Fortunately, I had hired a babysitter for my kid because of work, and I was tired of burdening my mother with my difficulties. My husband returned sooner than planned that day. The babysitter and my daughter were at my mother's place, so I attempted to be a good wife by kissing my husband and asking him to take a quick shower because we wanted to talk. Fortunately, he followed instructions, leaving me to finish everything. I made sure to wear something attractive that would make him want to eat me right away when he returned from his shower. He came down the stairs and inquired what the occasion was and where I was going, because I was wearing a dress he had never seen before. I told him I wanted to spend quality time with him and sought to address the issue in our marriage. But the guy simply rejected my concerns and changed the subject. I asked him to at least acknowledge me as his wife. I then tried to seduce him, but he wouldn't have it. He grumbled about being fatigued, and I was astonished when he asked where our daughter Chrissy was. I knew he wasn't asking because he wanted to, but because he wanted to disregard what I was attempting to achieve and discuss it with him. So I informed him that our daughter was at my mother's house. He just took the car keys and told me that separating a child from their mother would ruin the connection and bond we have, so he was going to get her. I didn't understand his sudden love for our kid, but seeing him consider her sentiments made my heart joyful and at ease. I had hoped that we could get through everything, but who was I kidding? He left me with Jerry lying on top of me. He did not even bother to compliment or show me affection. He now remembered he had a daughter with whom he had been missing for a year. My heart was broken, and I was thirsty and yearning for closeness. So I called Tom, hoping that he was accessible. Fortunately, he had invited me to their private party after I informed him that I was bored and needed some company. I did not waste any time. I've just changed. I only wore the dress I was wearing and proceeded to the spot Tom had designated. I didn't care if my husband came home and didn't find me. I was only thinking about my thirst and yearning for intimacy. When I arrived, Tom greeted me and introduced me as his fun girl, which surprised me because I didn't remember ever having a fun relationship with Tom, but I dismissed it. Perhaps we had a fun relationship a long time ago. So the night progressed, and at the party, I recognized a few of Dominic's buddies. Someone recommended that we all play Spin the Bottle, in which you either kiss the person whose bottle is pointed to or take a shot of vodka. That was a fun game. I had kissed 3 of Dominic's friends, including Tom, as the game heated up. Someone modified it and instructed us to play Truth or Dare. I attempted to contain myself by telling the truth, but Tom inquired if I was actually happy and sexually fulfilled in my marriage. That question took me by surprise because I had no idea how to respond. And I couldn't lie, because they'd see through it. I was growing uneasy, so I changed my response and chose dare. Tom then dared me to spend 15 minutes in one of the house's rooms with a guy named Kenny. He appeared to have had a hunger for me the entire night. I was hesitant at first because I had no idea what I was meant to do in that room, but I eventually agreed with the guy. When we arrived, the guy started caressing me. Mind you, I was also tipsy, so the alcohol was having an effect on my body, which reacted to his touch and his words. He continued adding, "In the blink of an eye, I found myself going down with the guy. My mind has cleared out any thoughts about my marital issues and hubby. I was enjoying the moment until my thoughts transported me back to where and who I was. But before getting married and starting a family, we had no idea the room we were in was equipped with cameras. I was so wrapped up in the moment that I didn't notice anything. Plus, the booze was doing its job. The game lasted until late, and the real fun began when everyone started dancing. I was so astonished that I found myself dancing like a stripper on top of the table. I performed the dance for 3 of the guys, including Tom Kenny, who used to come to the strip club for my performance. I was letting go and caring less. Little did I know, these were my husband's friends. I knew the other 2, but not Kenny. So while I was dancing, I asked the boys to follow me to the private room. My stripping habits had returned to full force, and we were all inebriated. So I told them to accompany me to the room, and they did. When we arrived, we started our little party. I danced for them and persuaded them to the point that Tom and Kenny started touching me, and we had a threesome. I enjoyed the way they touched me and made me feel good. I couldn't recall where the other guy had gone, and I didn't care, so I continued to have fun with 2 of these guys. We accomplished a lot. We had all been so trashed the night before that I couldn't recall everything that had transpired in the private room, but I did remember some of it. I awoke this morning with a severe hangover headache. As I glanced at myself, I noticed that I was not wearing anything. My pulse began to race as I considered the worst-case scenario and how stupid I was for jeopardizing my marriage. I had committed adultery, which I promised myself I would never do again. I was so afraid. Thoughts were flying through my head. I couldn't help but feel awful about what I had done, and there was no way to repair it. As I was worrying, Tom entered the room with a cup of coffee and medicines to relieve the hangover headache. I wanted to appreciate his wonderful gesture, but my heart and mind wouldn't let me. It was in its own dimension, and it was quite black. I couldn't stay there any longer, so I merely took the pain relievers and drank them before getting home. When I arrived home, I discovered my husband engaged with his drawings. He was doing an excellent job, and I was really proud of his successes. I greeted him, and he said Chrissy was sleeping in a chilly tone. I knew I was in deep trouble because I hadn't even informed him of my hasty departure. It was something that sprang to mind at the last moment. I tried to apologize to him for leaving the house without telling him where I was going. Instead of responding that maybe it's fine, he simply gave me an answer. He was cold as ice. I had been living in fear for weeks, convinced that my spouse could see through me and what I had done. I felt like the abomination I had committed was written all over me, which didn't help with the remorse I was experiencing throughout those weeks. My husband abruptly chose to move out of the house. When I questioned him why he was doing this, he informed me that it was best for both him and me. I didn't comprehend his stupid and pathetic excuse, so I fought with him about moving after all of my begging and tantrums, hoping he would reconsider. The man went ahead with his preparations and moved out of the residence. I understood right away that my marriage was teetering on the brink of disaster. You know how you get that sense that everything you've worked so hard for is about to go south rather than north? That was how I felt, and I couldn't blame anyone for it. About a week after he moved out, a delivery man arrived at the property, claiming to have come to bring the parcel. When I asked who had sent it, he told me what all other delivery men generally say. "I do not know, ma'am. I'm merely a delivery guy." My conscience informed me that it could be anything from my business clientele. I had no idea it was divorce papers and another document stating Dominic would be taking full custody of Chrissy. I thought I was going mad, like if my mind was about to explode like a bomb. I couldn't understand why Dominic would decide to send me such things. Why couldn't he sit down with me and chat like a married, mature parent? But he went there and filed for divorce and full custody of the daughter he had neglected for a year. I could not allow him win like way. If he wished to go, he should have informed me, but not taken my daughter. I called our family and requested an urgent meeting with Dominic because everything was going through our lawyers. Fortunately, the week did not finish, and the lawyer indicated that we would meet within the next 3 days. So, when we arrived, I asked Dominic why he was divorcing me and why he wanted full custody of our child. The answers he provided me were more than enough to make me depressed and think negatively of myself. He told me that he knew I had cheated on him with 3 of his buddies, but he didn't stop there since he discovered that I had cheated again 2 weeks before our wedding day. He went on to explain that he was aware of my previous work and that the cafe was simply a cover for me. I didn't understand where he got all that information. My thoughts had wondered if Tom had told him. But I discovered that he didn't. Dominic had discovered all of this on his own, and his trusted pals had informed me that I had attended the secret party that they had organized, where Tom presented me as his fun lady. I had no response when he said it. I decided to just humble myself and apologize. I was hoping that we might work things out for the sake of our daughter. He wasn't having it. He was very enraged. Even the veins were running through his temples. I had seen Dominic upset before, but the way he was angry that time worried me and made me regret my actions. I knew I should have been honest with him from the beginning, but I chose to keep everything to myself. And when the old self resurfaced, I was unable to control her and forgot that I was no longer under the pressure of my family and was a married lady. But what have I done? I breached my vows in front of our family, friends, and God, and there was nothing I could have done to save our marriage. I pleaded with Dominic to have mercy and not take my kid away, but the guy basically told us that he was done talking and that the call he wanted to receive was the one informing him that I had signed the documents. I could not let him win. I couldn't go back to the person I was before meeting Dominic. So I tried to battle for what was mine. Dominic did the worst conceivable thing when I was attempting to fight for my kid. He had approached one of the gossip writers and informed them that he had separated his company from my marketing company. He would no longer do business with my company because I was untrustworthy and unreliable. He went on to claim that my marketing company was merely a ruse to gain more clients. But my true nature was a body seller, a stripper, and a mother to my daughter, whom I would always take to my mother's house so I could spend time satisfying my clients. I couldn't believe that the guy I had loved and battled so hard for to notice me would simply go to journalists and drag my name into it. After that, I lost so many clients that I had no idea where to begin or how to pick up the pieces that the person I had once loved had left behind. You know, when someone claims they are drowning in deep, muddy seas, I am that person. I was drowning in dirty water and unable to swim. I resorted to drinking and seeking closure. I became just like my mother at the moment. I realized why Mama was an alcoholic. My life had reached a low point. I'd lost the only person who had shown me love and care and given me a lovely daughter. Now I had lost both my daughter and something very important to me, my company. I was miserable and desired to escape to a place free of difficulties and sorrows. 6 months later, my mother warned me not to throw a pity party since it would not bring back the things I had lost, including my daughter. But instead, it would take me directly to the morgue. And when that happens, I won't be able to fight or see my kid again. Those statements made me rethink my life. So I took the money I had saved from my firm and received when I divorced and spent it to fix myself. I spent 6 months at the recovery clinic and attended AA meetings while there. By the time I got out, I was a completely different person. I had figured out what my worth was and what I sought. I began by requesting at least joint custody of my daughter, which I received by the grace of God. I made peace with Dominic, despite his disappointment in me. However, we became civil parents for the sake of our daughter. I subsequently launched another social media marketing campaign and a nonprofit organization for women who had been in my position. I am pleased with the changes in my life. Everything that happened not only broke me, but it also shaped me into a better version of myself, capable of assisting others who are in similar situations. As I previously stated, I do not require or condone any judgment. However, I am still ashamed of my past. Here's the next story. I trusted her with my life, but she stabbed me in the back with a sharp knife. My own brother's years of love ended in an instant. The ache was excruciating. But the betrayal is awful. I followed them. I watched their terrible affair unfold, and my heart became chilly. Revenge became my sole refuge. They thought they could keep it hidden forever, but they underestimated my determination. I drove them to the verge of death. They begged for mercy, but mercy was the one thing I could never provide. Now it is my turn to make them suffer. Hello, love. How was it at work? I prepared dinner for you. It's in the refrigerator. I have to go now. I am meeting the girls to go shopping, remember? The mall stays open till 9 o'clock. I'll be home by 8:30 or so. Love you, she said hastily, dashed out the door, got into her car, and sped off. And let me guess, she'll return. She liked her time and went directly to the shower. Perhaps she does not want to discuss her evening. Then she'll retire for the night, claiming she's too exhausted. It may be days before anything else occurs between us. She used to go shopping every 4 to 6 weeks, but now only every few of weeks, mostly on Wednesday nights. Still, no new shipments come at the door. Does she really believe I'm that clueless? Maybe she is with her buddies, perhaps not. She is just dressed casually today, nothing too amazing. If she had a special occasion planned, I would anticipate her dressing up more. Could it be that she hides her nicer outfits? It does not really matter. After 3 years of marriage, she may simply desire some time alone throughout the week. Everywhere I look, there's encouragement to make time for yourself. If you don't care for yourself, you can't care for others. I struggled to embrace that idea. We chat, we laugh, we go out together. We express our love for one other on a frequent basis. We exchange minutes in the morning and say our goodbyes with fondness. We always have fun on weekends. It does not add up. How can we be so close? While it appears she is looking for something greater. But tonight, I'll find out what's really going on. I only hope she's shopping as she promised. I can't believe how much I care about her. Even the thought of her being with someone else weighs on my chest and tries to send me to tears. I can't keep living like this if she is indeed unfaithful. The anguish will be far worse than the sensation of doubt. But I need the truth. What did the song say? Suspicion is tearing me apart. That accurately describes how I feel. It is not beneficial for our relationship. It is winter. It is already dark outside. It's been 1 hour. I should check the whereabouts of her phone. Oh no. It indicates that she is at Lover's Leap. That location is a dead end with a precipitous drop. There isn't much shopping around there. People only go there for the spectacular vistas. He collapsed to the floor. Why? I thought we were happy together. She always seemed well. My heart is sad, and I don't understand how she could be in this condition. All right. I need to gather myself together and find out who she is with. I will take my truck. It's only a 15-minute drive. I will leave my phone here. Let me find a movie to watch. Jaws. That feels fitting. I'll begin this search to prepare myself for whatever I may discover. It would serve them right after they had violated my faith in our marriage vows, along with all of her promises. I can't stop picturing another guy with her. If this happens, I may as well spend my entire life in prison. unless I muster the strength to leave this circumstance behind for good. It isn't the worst thinking I've had. I occasionally read about tragic endings, probably preferable to being confined here. I've loved her for a long time. We've known each other since we were small. Even though she worked from home, things became serious in my final 2 years of college. After graduation, I received several excellent job offers, but chose one in our hometown. She moved in immediately after I graduated, and 6 months later we were married. Yes, we hurried into marriage. But before that, we were best friends who knew everything about each other. That's what hurts. We were best pals. How could she have betrayed me like this? All right. It is time to gently climb the hill. I do not want to alert them. Let me walk around the curve. Wait, that's my brother's camper van. First, my wife betrays me. Now it feels like my brother has to. Please let it end. They claim that friends and family may hurt you the most, but it feels even worse. He got close to the side of the van. It swayed slightly. Voices. Bo, Bo, that feels wonderful. Make it difficult. Yes, that is it. And Rex, you can help keep things rolling. But I want to be alone with my thoughts after this. I felt terrible going home after this. As I already stated, Ian is acting strangely, so we need to put a stop to this. This is the final time for a while. Perhaps forever. Okay, Sam, but you may miss this. I don't think you can go without us for very long. Do not deceive yourself. Ian is far better at this. I get excited just thinking about it. Here comes another wave. She tensed, and the moment passed. Thanks. That was great. Your turn. Rex, go ahead. Remember, we only have until 9, so go all out. What do you want me to do? So, Sam, if Ian is this excellent, why are we here? I do not know. We started doing this in high school and continued it for 4 years while he was overseas, even in the final 2 years when we were meant to be exclusive. I suppose it become a habit. I just need you, too. Sometimes it's different when I'm with Ian. The longest break occurred when I moved in and got married. I adore him, but I couldn't shake the feeling, so we fell back into it. Do you remember? He hadn't observed anything the entire time. He did not put the parts together. They think love can blind you. I suppose that's true. Sometimes I feel awful about it, but it's too enticing to give up. I still take good care of him. But now everything is over, so I'll enjoy the remaining piece. I am thinking of creating a family and becoming the finest wife ever. He believes we are trying for a kid, but I did not want to chance issues that could jeopardize my future. To be honest, if you want tenderness, you'll need to find real girlfriends. My door will be closed. Do you think seeing each other frequently would make him suspicious? That's why I aim to keep it low, about once a month. I just needed to let go one last time. But he's acting strangely, so I'll have to make amends to him and stop for a bit. At least till after I get pregnant. What exactly did you tell him you were doing? Shopping. Maybe he's furious with the items you purchased. Oh no, I never brought anything back home. I can't believe I was that careless. No surprise he's acting strangely. Okay, finish up. I need to get to Walmart. Everything else will be closed shortly. It is about 9 o'clock. If he becomes suspicious, he will be quite upset. But he loves me so much. I'd do anything to keep him, even if it involves therapy or something else. Okay, Rex, let's do this quickly. I want this one final time before I stop and go shopping. The brothers exchanged looks. They understood that if they were caught, there would be no forgiveness. Rex headed towards the bed. John looked carefully through the curtain and saw her reclining back. Anger replaced the agony within him, along with sentiments of betrayal. This would not end well. He hurriedly returned to the truck. This could prove useful. He secured a moving blanket to the front of his truck. There are no scratches. Hopefully. He shifted to 4-wheel drive, and then paused. Let me make a few calls. Hello, Mom? Is Bo around? I'd like to talk with him for a minute. No, John. He and Rex headed to the gym. They will be back in an hour. They do not remain out long. Call back later, perhaps around 9. Okay. It is not urgent. I can speak to him tomorrow. He called another number. Hello, Helen. Is Sam there? I am attempting to reach her. What? She's outside with her father. That is okay. I'll chat to her later when she gets home. Not a big deal. Have a nice evening. I'm sorry for bothering you. I feel insulted and betrayed. My wife, brothers, and even my mother and her family have let me down. Everyone seemed to know what was going on behind my back. They all witnessed her infidelity to me, and none of them spoke up. What type of help is that? I can't help but wonder if our buddies knew both. Ian started the truck and drove softly towards the van. With determination, he crashed into the back of it. The accident caused the van to jolt forward, with the front end veering off the road. Inside the minivan, the 3 people were flung from their seats onto the floor. They scrambled to stand up. What has just happened? Ian pressed forward again, causing the car to jolt. Just one more whack, and that heavy van should collapse. A part of him believed he should go down with it. The second collision slammed Rex into a cabinet, and he felt a rush of dizziness. This is ridiculous. We might come to regret this. Someone is quite angry. He heard Sam cry out, God, I apologize for everything. If you let me survive, I pledge to be the best wife ever. I will strive hard to put things right. Please, I ask you, allow me to survive so that I can work this out with Ian. Ian drew back, bracing for one last smash. A voice inside his head questioned why he was doing this. It reassured him that he wasn't a bad person and that there was yet hope for the future. He had not done anything wrong. Others had. Why would he ruin his own life? He understood he could still find happiness, even though he didn't really believe it. He turned the truck around and drove away. Rex wiped his forehead as they considered the previous occurrences. Wow. It was Ian's pickup. He nearly hurt us horribly. What? No way. This was not intended to happen. We need to contact him. I cannot lose him, Sam yelled out. Oh no, what did I do to him? He must be quite unhappy to even think about this. Come on. We need to catch him before he gets home. They struggled to move the van away from the guardrail, but it became stuck. Rex and Bo took their tools and worked to free it. Wow. He really screwed this up. I hope we can go to your place. Sam. However, they were still approximately an hour behind Ian when he entered his mother's house. He seemed lost. Hello, Mom. Are Bo and Rex still in the gym? I am sorry, Mama. His mother gazed at him, then down to the floor. Tears welled up in her eyes and misery washed over her face. Oh, Ian. You found out, right? Yes. Mom and I nearly heard all 3 of them. Oh, no. Ian, I'm deeply sorry. I should have told you. I should not have let this go on. You knew all along, right? I knew they were together since high school, but you never told me. You might have prevented me from dating her. You could have prevented me from marrying her. Why haven't you said anything? But you 2 appear really happy together. It was evident that you loved each other. I do not know. Will you ever forgive me? She kept crying. Her heart hurt. What kind of mother would do this to her son? How had this continued for so long? It felt quite wrong. Did Dad know? Tell the truth? No more falsehoods? I suppose he knew, but didn't want to believe it. Great. This is just getting worse. My wife, brothers, and parents have betrayed me, and let me guess. Her mother knew too. She nodded. But Helen believed you were good for her and would stop. However, she didn't. He raised his hand to stop her. I believe they arrived to my apartment first. They will come here next. I have to go. He leaned forward to bid farewell. She flinched at his touch. Mom, I want to thank you for everything you've given me. I'll always love you for it. But you have deeply damaged me. I'll never forget how painful it was. No. Ian, please. You should understand. What can I do to make things right? Nothing, Mom. There is nothing you can do. We have gone too far for that. I am leaving immediately. You, Dad, and my brothers will never see me again. Do not try to find me. If I encounter any of you again, I am not sure what I will do. Goodbye. Ian, please. You cannot leave like this. You need to understand. She dropped to her knees and wept into her hands. Her husband walked in. What's happening? Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Worse. Significantly bad. He learned about Sam and the guys. These three cost us our kid. We will never see him again. What were our thoughts? What did we do? He departed and drove to Sam's family home. He knocked on the door. Ian, what are you doing here? Sam is not home. I know Helen. She is at Lover's Leap with my brothers. Is that what you were planning to say? Her expression was one of shock. The moment she had dreading for years had finally arrived. She always believed she could talk reason into him if and when this happened. One glance told her everything. There was nothing she could say to make things better. The marriage was over. Everything was over. Why didn't she tell him the truth? Helen noticed the pain and disappointment in his eyes. Oh no. What did we do to him? Tears welled up in her eyes as she reached out her hands, asking for understanding. She was overcome with anguish and fear. Helen, you already knew all of this. You could have told me at any moment over the last 5 years, but you didn't. You even covered for her. This is how it is. Thank you for everything you and your spouse done for me, including welcoming me. But I'm also quite unhappy with you for not telling me. You could have avoided all of this. You could have saved us from this pain. But it is too late. It's way too late. I'm leaving for good. I will not speak to you or Sam again. Any messages will go through my attorney. Do not try to find me. Tell Sam that if I meet her again, I will complete what I started tonight. There will be no forgiveness, no assistance, and no resolution. It is over. You can tell her I overheard them conversing. I am grateful that she told my brothers that I was not a failure, but all I can think of is how my brothers interacted with her. She cannot take that back. Tell her to enjoy life. Could you please give her my phone and wedding ring? It obviously mattered more to me than to her. Goodbye. He turned on the phone and headed out the door. Helen merely watched him leave, worrying about him. A moment later, the phone rang. Helen snapped out of her thoughts and responded. Ian? Oh no. Ian, I'm deeply sorry. I need to talk to you. I need to explain, please. Where are you now? What did I do to you? Sam, this is your mother. Ian dropped off your phone and his wedding band. He stated he was going and would never see any of us again. Mom, no. I need to speak to him. I need to change this. There is no way to rectify this, Sam. You should have seen him. He seemed completely lost. It was very disturbing. Are you okay, Mother? He almost pushed us off the Lover's Leap. You deserve it. But we all earned it. Why don't you come home and we'll try to figure this out? He made it apparent that their marriage was finished. Her mother listened to Sam cry in misery before hanging up. They'll probably have to go to Helen's residence. She might remain there for a while. I'll return to my house, get my baggage, and depart. If I head towards the highway, I can pick a hotel far enough away that they won't see me. If they even try, I will be able to get to work. I've got a lot to do. I use bank transfers, credit cards, and a new direct deposit system to receive my paychecks. I need to talk to my employer tomorrow and then quit. I'll schedule a Zoom meeting with my lawyer. And lastly, I need to pick where I want to move. How does the song go? Heads. CA. Carolina has tails. I am not sure which is which since I am already in North Carolina. I don't think I'd want California anyway. Maybe somewhere in the middle, like the Rockies later. Who says tiny villages don't require a tech specialist? My computer business has been so busy over the past 2 years that this is the first time I've been able to take a true break of more than a few hours. It feels terrific, and what a wonderful place to live. It's both affordable and friendly. In roughly 15 to 20 minutes, I can be on a trail heading up into the mountains. There are no crowds. I've always liked these types of hikes. Going into the woods can be difficult, especially uphill, but coming down is far superior to going up. You hear about folks who hike down into the Grand Canyon and then have to climb back up. No thanks to it. But nonetheless, it's been 2 years, yet I keep thinking about the same moment from a movie. Why can't I simply forget it? Why can't I feel anything? When will the sorrow, anger, and emotions of betrayal from those I love subside? How could I have acted so foolishly? I should have noticed the indications. I must have made mistakes. Perhaps I was not strong enough. All of these thoughts keep spinning around in my head. How can I make them go away? The noise in my head is overwhelming. Work helps, but not significantly. I knew it would not be easy. I cared too much for her, but my mind will not rest. What if I can never move on? What if I can never be okay again? There is too much noise when I try to meditate. The peaceful mind never remains silent. It simply makes the memories clearer, every single detail. Drinking only leads to tears and a lousy feeling in the morning. I will not turn to chemicals either. So I work hard and work out till I'm exhausted. I'm hoping that I can finally fall asleep. But it never works. I am haunted every night. That therapist did not help, and I refuse to use medications to feel disconnected from everything. What kind of lifestyle would that be? However, I suppose this is not much of a life either. Will I ever experience happiness or laughter again? Can I ever grin genuinely? Will my heart ever mend enough to allow someone else in? To love anew? To feel happy or excited? Thank you for the memories, Sam. She probably has moved on and forgotten about me by now. Great. There I go again. Ian, you really ruined my vacation to the woods. Good job. I am glad I took some time off, but the loneliness. How can I feel lonely when I have so many things racing through my mind? I simply don't get it. All right. Stop. Excellent job spoiling one of my favorite trails. I may as well go back. I haven't glanced at the birds or trees or enjoyed anything about it. Only 2 days of delving into my recollections. Wait, perhaps I should try that meditation again. It's time to relax my mind. Repeat my words. Let go of any thoughts that come up. Inhale deeply. Oh, forget it. It is not working again. I suppose I should just move on. Eat a sandwich and continue down the route. Hold on. What is that? I'm worried in the same way that I was when I almost crashed the van for the 3rd time. That is unusual. What is that noise? It sounds like a boulder falling or something. It must have just rolled away in the sunshine. No. Wait, is someone calling? It sounds faintly. Help? Oh, no. Perhaps it is. It sounds like it's down off the trail somewhere. I don't see anything, however. Well, I have nothing to lose because I was going to turn around anyhow. I might as well check it out. He sought for a safe path before gently climbing down the rocks. They were loose from a landslide that occurred a long time ago and were quite dangerous. After repeated slips, he eventually reached the bottom. A girl lay on her back in the ground. She appeared ill, her eyes were closed, and she let out a little whimper. Hello? I can't believe what I heard. Hey, are you all right? She opened her eyes. Who? What? Oh no, is this real? I was hoping for a rescue, but I didn't expect someone like you to turn up, did I? Am I in danger? Oh no, I sincerely apologize for whatever that has transpired. I'm just here to help. Please allow me to assist you. She reached out and touched his arm. Wow, you are real. Look at those arms. And the blue eyes are the nicest part. At least some portion of my dream came true. But those eyes appear to be in a lot of agony and distress. Oh. He chuckled gently. I'm here to help, miss. It appears you are not feeling well. Really? Actually, my legs are fine. I'm the lead dancer in the pageant, and I was just rehearsing my position, standing on my toes. I've been lying here for several days. It's freezing. There's no food or water. And he says you're not feeling good. Do you have any water, by the way? Stop calling me miss. He chuckled again and smiled. Actually, I have some water. She shot him a glare. Here, you can drink as much as you want. I can always get more out of the stream. You cannot merely drink from the stream. Didn't anyone teach you about cleanliness? She cringed at this. There are various types of bacteria in it. I don't want an upset stomach right now. I have a filter and some chlorine tablets which should help. Just don't drink too much and become sick. All right? Wow, this tastes great. Okay, I am ready for the prince. She grinned while saying this. I assume food is out of the question. First, let's get you comfortable. And my sleeping bag. Watch where your hands are. Sorry, this is just part of my wilderness training. What? From YouTube. He chuckled again. No, it's a legitimate course. How do you feel about peanut butter? Of course they're extra thick. On bread. I've been sleeping here for days, dreaming of food. And you bring me a large container of peanut butter? No jelly, no jelly. So you embark on a multi-day hike with only a jar of peanut butter. No protein bars or snacks. He shakes his head. Well, I also have some bread, which is extremely crunchy. Plus, it's a large jar. Wow. Have I done something wrong? No, Prince, just peanut butter. Okay, I'll take 6. Simply keep them coming here. Can you make these? She nodded. So, how did you get harmed and break your legs? I was pushed? Really? Yep. A raccoon or something moved up behind me and pushed. No, I was actually watching 2 adorable marmots. You know the saying about spring and young love? Now that it's October, I suppose it's time to say goodbye. But not for you, Giant. Do not get any ideas. They moved out of view, so I stood on a rock to get a better view, and suddenly, boom! I dropped down here. My legs became trapped, and I had to move forward until they sprang free. It sounded quite awful. That sounds like quite an experience. I would not recommend it to anyone. Not more than 1 star. I agree. Allow me to check on you. You've got some great bruises on your face, by the way. Is your head okay? How's your vision and your teeth? And if it's not okay, what are you going to do? He laughed again. I do not know. That's in the following class. I haven't learned that section yet, but the first one instructed me to check. I am starting to worry about you, rescue man. Perhaps I should wait till the following class. Let us see. It was ABC. Check the airway. Breathing check. Circulation. Yup. Houston. She has a pulse. No, wait. That is the wrong class. She rolled her eyes as he grinned at her. And deliver me from evil, for you are mine. Before we do anything else, let's take off your boots and check your feet to make sure they're fine. No, do not touch them first, my dear friend. It appears you failed your YouTube course. It would be pointless if they were already dead. Plus, they're so huge that they might swell even more, and you wouldn't be able to put them back on. My feet would freeze on the way back, right? This makes sense, but they're so tight they need to be loosened. She agreed. Oh, it feels so much better. Thank you, Ogre. I should have thought about that before dozing asleep. Next, we'll examine your attire to ensure you're comfortable. No, do not even think about it. Stay away from me. Don't touch me or I will. I suppose screaming is pointless. I'll defend myself with this rock or use my techniques on you. Moves? What is that? A new type of mixed martial art? She started to cry. I understand I can't stop you, but just don't do it. I am already in so much agony. If you have to do something, please finish it for me first. I simply can't. Her eyes welled up with tears, and she buried her face in her hands. He raised his hands. No, it's all fine. I am not going to do anything. Her expression changed to one of relief. What? You are suggesting that I am not the most beautiful person you have ever saved. No, I am not. Beautiful. Wonderful. The goal of discussing Rescue Boy is to communicate. And I am sure you understand what I meant. Yes, I understood you. So you think I am unattractive? Is this it? Not at all. He smiled. But I believe there's a reason why no animals have been to check on you, because you are my shepherd. No, I'm just checking to see whether you have any cuts or if the brakes are open. What if I simply checked your pants? No. These are my only favorite jeans. I think they're fine. See? No blood. So, no major cuts. The brakes are most likely locked. I understand you just want to have a look. I bet your unique features are the same as everyone else's. That's not pleasant. Is that how you communicate with people? I'll let you know. Mine is special. Have you ever heard the expression, her beauty is rare? That's excellent, but I'm not looking for it right now. What are you not interested in? Women. It's okay if you're not. No, it is not it. Oh no, sorry. Mark's ring is empty. An empty ring mark. She pointed to a mark on his finger left by a ring that was no longer there. 2 years. Will it ever fade? When a guy expresses attention, you become aware of these characteristics. They sometimes lose their rings while dating, but the mark remains. How long? He frowned and looked away. It's been 2 years, but it feels like only yesterday. Was it death? A breakup? Wait. I apologize. That is too intimate. It is all right. It was a breakup. His expression was filled with pain as memories flooded back. Ooh, not an easy one. He shook his head. I apologize. So, how are you going to help me? Wait, what is your name, big guy? Ian. Nice to meet you, Ian. We need to quit bumping into each other like this. She chuckled gently. I am Sam. His look shifted to one of surprise and hurt. Oh, no. What's her name? He nodded. All right. That is not an appropriate name to use, or you could leave me here. My middle name is Allison. What if you simply called me Allie? Will that work? He nodded and wiped his tears away. So, now that we've completed the introductions, how will you get me out of here? Where is your horse? My not-so-fair prince? I will carry you. No way. It is a 2-day trip back. I know you are powerful, but I don't believe you can do it. Ali, please listen. There is no telephone service. It's 2 days ago. Even if a rescue crew arrived, it would take some time to reach you. I doubt you'd want to wait so long. That would not be good, and you are small. Just don't eat or drink too much on the way home. They both laughed. I promise. What about one of the stretchers you can make? You may pull me along, Mr. Woodsman. You've also taken a course on that, correct? Actually, I have, but it might be more difficult than you think. Okay. It's time for the truth. Me and the animals were correct. I haven't moved much, and I've had an accident. I could not ask you to. What? Has something happened? Well, she smiled. This is not my area of expertise. It's just the things above and beyond that. Another motive to help you. We can clean you up and care for your clothing. Thank you, Ian. No, thanks. Whatever you say, miss. We aim to please. Did you have a bag or something? I did, and it had some delicious food in it, but I wasn't wearing it when I fell. I heard an animal up there making a noise as if it was going through my bag. Must have taken it. I didn't see it, but we can search again, so I'll pack up and splint your legs in place with these bootlaces. Then I'll pull you onto my shoulders, hand you my backpack, and see if I can get you up the slope safely. Ian. No way. Not an issue. I have been exercising. Want to know how strong I am? Yeah, great. I feel so much better right now. Perhaps I should give up. So we'll both be facing the same direction when you are on my back. He looked at her, puzzled. Oh, rescue man, I'm wasting my finest jokes on you. He then let out a quick laugh. Yes, we will both be facing the same direction. It felt great to chuckle. It had been a long time. She was funny. I can't believe she's still able to joke after 2 days. He packed some belongings, got some water, and carefully scooped her up. Despite the fact that her legs were wrapped, she let out a painful cry. But she did not complain. He quickly placed her onto his shoulders and handed her the backpack. It took nearly 2 hours to recover from a 15-minute descent. A lot of it was on all fours. He was saturated by the time he reached the summit. Sorry, Allie. I'm doing as well as you are. Yes, and you smell far worse, by the way. She patted his chest and held her hand still for a second. Ian, please stop and take a break. No, I'm okay. Your jeans are heavy, but you are lightweight. You are impossible. Simply breathe in the fresh mountain air. She gently patted his head. It smells like a sweaty troll to me. They claim that after a while, you grow accustomed to it. Ian, please do me a favor and simply throw me over the edge. I can wait for the next rescue team. She softly patted his head again before playing with his hair. Sorry. From here, things will become easier. Most of it is downhill. It's going to grow darker shortly. Could you please pass me the pack? He reached in, took out a headlamp, and then grabbed the bag by the straps. He left. In less than half an hour, he realized she had fallen asleep. It was a restless sleep. She whimpered occasionally, indicating she was in discomfort. She must be quite exhausted. A half hour later, it was fully dark. He continued walking through the night, determined to make good progress. He chose to stop when she awoke and needed to rest. He trudged along at a steady pace. He attempted to ignore his body and suppress the terrible recollections of his history. Those recollections continued to plague him, yet occasionally during the night, he couldn't help but drop a tear. She awoke with a start and cried, "Ian, it is dark. You should stop and rest. Is there a light over there? Is it nearly dawn? Did I sleep during our break? No way. You wandered all night. You should take a rest. Even trolls require breaks." "No, I'm okay. I'm a little afraid to stop. I understand. But, Ian, there is an issue. I drank too much water. I do not know what to do." Her eyes flooded with tears. "I'm so sorry. You need to deal with this." "What shall I do?" "Listen, you have options. If it is going to be too difficult, just do what you have to do. I'm already pretty wet. Your jeans are also damp." "No, I could not do it. I'm humiliated enough already. I typically smell good." He laughed. "Simply put me down on a log or something. I'll get by. Just don't think about abandoning me there." He laughed as he spoke. "Sure, whatever." He picked a log and laid her down it before turning his back and listening as she figured things out. "Need assistance?" he asked. "No. Please give me a moment." Moments later, the sound of a powerful torrent reached his ears. "Oh, man! Ollie, I hope no one sees this. We might get into trouble. You are impossible. Feel free to make fun of me. I am pleased I put you down. I would have gotten wet." "How much water did you drink?" "Bad ogre. That is not how you speak to a lady. Seriously, Ian, take a break. I need more water and some peanut butter. I am freezing and could use a sleeping bag. Can you help me?" "Of course. 1 hour. No more. I am setting a timer. Here's some water and snacks. I am just going to lie down for a minute." "No, ogre. We both need to go beneath the sleeping bag to stay warm." "Okay. Can you be trusted?" "I will be like the creatures that harmed you. Dear Lord, please assist me get out of this circumstance. I don't care how." She smiled and continued to gaze at him. He grinned back and got beneath the sleeping bag alongside her. He fell asleep easily since he was so fatigued. When the alarm went off, it seemed like only a minute had passed. He awoke and stretched. I'm not sure if that rest was a good choice. He sipped water and ate a tablespoon of peanut butter, saving the bread for her. "Ready to go? Do you need a log?" She nodded. He guided her onto the log and turned his back when she was ready. He put her onto his shoulders, grabbed the backpack, and started walking. "Ian, where are you from?" "You don't sound local. Your accent is not from New York. I am from North Carolina, roughly an hour from Raleigh." "Do you know where that is?" "Sure. It's between Iowa and Minnesota, correct?" They both laughed. "Exactly." "Ian, you'd best watch out when I get healthy and can use my legs again." "I know where Raleigh is. I used to spend a lot of time looking at maps online and at the library, planning where I would go if I had the opportunity. Did you go to NC State?" "No, I attended USC. Charlotte. I enjoy their computer science program and wanted to move away from home." "This makes sense. Both cities are rapidly growing and have several career opportunities." "I am amazed. How did you know that?" I read a lot and remember most of it. It just stuck with me. Where did you attend school? Just my GED. That is it. I want to study more, but I have never had the opportunity. Life got in the way. My childhood was not your average family existence. So, Ian, what do you do, besides aiding folks in the woods? I own a computer store. We provide sales, services, and consultation. What about the local store? He nodded. I glanced through the window. Sometimes. Computers are awesome. They can take you somewhere and teach you a lot. I wished I knew more about them. I've mostly used the ones at school or the library, and they're rather ancient. You should learn more. There are plentiful work options. Maybe you can work for me eventually. Seriously, Ian, that would be fantastic. I would be the best employee you've ever had. Well, you'd be my only employee, so I suppose that makes me the best? She laughed. Yes, you'd be the finest. I can get you a trophy. You may be the employee of the month. That's great. But then she exhaled. But you don't have to do that, Ian. You are already a tremendous assistance to me. So what about the ex? What happened? He paused and appeared nervous. Ian, I'm truly sorry. I didn't mean to bring this up. It just came out. He began walking again. Ian, please say something. I'm truly sorry. My mother always said my words got me in trouble. They traveled peacefully for a long time, taking only short rests. He kept quiet and moved slowly. She appreciated his power and brushed her fingers through his rich brown hair. She likewise admired the beauty of the woodland and wished she had not said anything. The leaves were mostly gone higher up, but plenty remained lower down. She generally just glanced ahead along the path. Her thoughts wandered as she attempted to ignore the discomfort. The discomfort in her legs worsened as night fell. He needed a break. They hadn't seen anyone else along the path. His phone still didn't function. He grabbed wood and started a tiny fire in a circle of rocks to keep her warm. He discovered a nearby brook and, despite the chilly water, hurriedly cleaned and lay down in it. This feels good. He thought he was partially visible in the weak light, and she didn't look away. Ali, my clothes are beginning to smell awful. Is it okay if I wash them and hang them near the fireplace? I guarantee I won't go without anything on, and I have ordinary underpants. But when you're as large as me... Well, I'm guessing you keep an extra pair of socks there. She laughed. My secret is out. I do have some clean clothes in my bag. I can shift into. I have a few t-shirts if you want to change. Sure, I'd want to get my pants cleaned, but I'm not sure how to remove them with my splints. And my underwear is small. Here is a concept. I understand you did not want to, but I have a pair of sweatpants in my suitcase. What if I cut the hem off your pants? She began to argue. Wait a minute. I'll fetch you some water to wash off your sweatpants, and then you can wear them. I'll simply cut the seams so they can be stitched back together. To be honest, I could just buy you a new pair if that makes you feel better. Once we return while you are in the hospital, I can drive to your place and bring you some new clothes. His offer made her appear distressed. She appeared to deflate and began crying. Allie, I'm deeply sorry. What did I do wrong? Nothing. Ian, it's only me. I do not have any other outfits. I don't have anything, she replied. She pulled up the sleeves of her sweater, revealing scars and lumps. Ian, I used to suffer with substance use. My mother hooked me on something when I was younger. We were always having problems, but a few years ago she developed more serious concerns. I simply couldn't handle it. I witnessed her come apart right in front of me. It was as if she was breaking down. Then she passed away, probably due to an overdose. I didn't realize for hours since I was so out of it. That was the day I stopped. I vowed myself not to return to that life. It was dreadful. Stopping was extremely difficult. I was in a lot of agony, but it doesn't matter. I've been clean for a year, but I'm still in a recovery home near the church. I have a part-time work, but no one wants to hire me because, well, This is a small town, and everyone knows my mother. They do not trust me. I do not blame them. It only costs money to go away and start over, and I do not have that. So if you want to leave me here, I understand. You have already done so much for me. No way. You give up on the difficult tasks. That requires a lot of strength. That is wonderful. And here I was, feeling sorry for myself. Ali, don't worry. I'll help you get back on your feet. No strings attached. He raised his hands. I promise. She had tears in her eyes and started crying. Why, Ian? Why would you help me? Because you require support. That's exactly what wonderful friends do. He smiled and brought out sweatpants and a t-shirt. I believe these will fit you. Okay, I understand. He carefully removed the splints and changed her clothing, ensuring she was covered by the sleeping bag. A minor adjustment exposed her ripped underpants, and he remarked to himself that it will need to be repaired later. Here's some refreshing alpine water. It's a little cold, but it's the best I could manage. Here's a t-shirt for you to clean up in. I suppose I'll have to dispose of it later, he added. She smiled. You truly understand how to make someone feel cared for. Now, let me wash. She did her best to clean herself before putting on the large sweatpants and t-shirt. Oh, this shirt smells exactly like Ian. She had a thought. I like it. She placed her old underwear into his luggage, weighing their fate against the remaining set she had stored away. She had fallen asleep when he returned. He gathered more wood, grabbed some peanut butter, refilled their water bottles, and lay down next to her, adjusting the sleeping bag to keep her warm. A few hours later, a noise woke him up. He turned on his headlamp. He was thinking of a bear, worried. He leaped up, grabbed a stick with some embers from the fire, and approached the bear, which had retreated but was sure to return, attracted by the aroma of food. We really better get moving. He whispered to himself. He gently awoke Ali and assisted her in getting ready, making sure she was comfy in her oversized sweatpants. As daylight came, they made their way to the parking lot where his truck waited. It had been a day and a half since they started their adventure. Let's get you settled, and I'll drive you to the hospital in Dillard. They have a doctor that can help you, he reassured her. When he arrived to the emergency department, he entered, explained the issue, and then returned with a nurse and a wheelchair. They helped Ali get into the chair as he parked the truck. When he returned, Ali was already receiving an X-ray. The nurse approached him with forms and expressed surprise at his efforts. You transported her that far in 36 hours. You are quite wonderful. No, I am not a hero, he responded. I simply did what anyone would do. Ali is the true hero. She suffered from her injuries for 2 days before I discovered her without food or water. Then an additional day and a half on my back. She deserves to be recognized. Not long after, the on-call doctor arrived to meet with him. Ian confirmed with a nod. I'm Dr. Jones. Ali granted me permission to discuss her health with you. She mentioned meeting you on the trail once more. He nodded. She needs to undergo surgery as soon as we can prepare. Her fractures are serious with several components involved. We will place plates on the fibula, but not on the main bone, the tibia. I'll put a rod to hold the components together. Place a lengthy plate over all of the breaks, then add screws and bone grafts. She suffered a serious injury similar to that of a car accident with her bones broken into several pieces. I'm not sure how she did this, as it won't be stable straight soon. I need to apply a metal device on the outside till it begins to heal and hold together. After that, she'll start wearing casts. This will probably last 6 weeks. The procedure will last a few hours, and she will be unable to bear weight on her legs for at least 4 to 6 months. Then she'll need rehabilitation for one leg. She could use crutches with both legs. Doctor, she instructed me to inform you that she did not want any pain medication. She has previously struggled with medicine and is concerned about becoming dependent again. I understand. We discussed how tough it was to get an IV line. We had to pass through the vein in her neck. It's amazing how far she's come. We'll utilize nerve blocks, which should work for a day. After that, she can have a seat made of iron. If she was able to cope with agony for nearly 4 days, she can tolerate some discomfort from the surgery. She will be here for a few days, but she is unable to return to the crisis housing and appears to have no family. I can help with that, doctor. She can remain at my house, and I will help her with anything she needs to feel well. Would you do that? You've just met her. This is what people do, sir. We aid people in need, right? So no problem. Where do you live, Ian? Not far from Greenwald. I own the computer store there. Oh, you are that person. My wife purchased a computer from you. She appreciated the service and uses her PC. Maybe the hospital needs someone like you. It appears that they are wasting a lot of money. Our current method is extremely slow and rarely functions well, especially in the morning. I intend to talk to them regardless. Do you want to see her till it's time to take her back? She was asking about you. I'm a little messy, doctor. Are you certain it's okay? I mean, it is fine. Ian, this is a tiny, not particularly fancy hospital. As they walked to the waiting room, he spoke. Hey, Allie, you seem to be doing better, but you still don't smell well. Ogre. She shed tears. I am afraid. Ian, I'm scared of the procedure. And what happens next? The doctor advised me not to put any weight on my legs for at least 4 to 6 months, if not longer. She began crying. What shall I do, Ian? Am I going to end up in a nursing home with very sick elderly folks or something worse? I'm really scared. I'm really scared. In my previous life, it didn't mean much. Everything was tough. But now I understand. What shall I do? He took her hand. She jumped at first and attempted to pull away. He held on lightly. Then she stared into his eyes and relaxed. I have a plan. She flinched, attempting to draw her hand away. Thank you, Ian. No, not like that. I will not hurt you. There is no pressure. You need assistance, and the doctor says there's nobody else. I promise, you can have the bedroom. I will take the couch. It will be all right. When you feel better, you can assist out in my store to repay me. How does that sound? You mentioned that you wanted to be Employee of the Month, right? And if you do not want me around, well, I can sleep in the office or something. Whatever you need to feel better. She simply peered into his blue eyes, searching. Who is this guy? Would you do it for me? Why? We've just met. Nobody has ever done anything for me, ever. Her eyes welled up with tears once again. He offered her a tissue. So the plan is, I will stay with you until the surgery begins. Then I'll go home and clean up. He considered cleaning his place and grabbing some meals, and I'll be back by the time you go to your room. Sounds good. I hope to make it back in time. But Ian, you do not have to. Yes, I do. There's no way I'm not going to aid Allie. Perhaps helping her will take my mind off my own problems. She squeezed his hand. Thank you. Ogre, thank you for saving me. My life is changing, and maybe in other ways, she replied with a smile. But there's no more peanut butter, he chuckled. Just wait till you try my peanut butter pie. I use store-bought crust and heat peanut butter. Stop! You are making me feel nauseous. They both laughed. When the hospital workers came to take her away, he wished her luck and gently touched her forehead. She flinched at first when he approached, but soon relaxed and grinned. Sorry, Ian. I have certain issues, but I appreciate everything. Wish me luck. He hurried off as they rolled her away. It's better to go home and freshen up first. The employees at the store would not appreciate me coming up like this. Not ideal for business. I would clear the place out. He smiled at himself. He quickly cleaned up the apartment, collected his soiled clothing, and began loading them into the washing machine. He rinsed the plates and put them in the dishwasher. Then he replaced the bedsheets and cleaned the bathroom, and so on. He waited an hour before heading to the retail shop. He required a toothbrush, deodorant, perfumed soap with a cleaning sponge, shampoo, conditioner, and a brushing for her long blonde locks. He also grabbed some scrunchies to bind up her hair. I have no idea what she will need. Never had sisters. Sam had short hair, but I assume the rest of the details will be comparable. I may need a second cart shortly. Buying all of this for the first time adds up. Ah, well. He then looked for clothing. The nurse had given him an indication of her size. Sam was bigger. The clothes labels were difficult to read. Scrubs, shorts, t-shirts, sweatshirts, socks, shoes. There are 2 sizes of sneakers. I can always return items that don't fit. He considered other items, but decided against them. No idea. He also needed an inflatable mattress. This was going to be challenging. Sheets, blankets, towels, washcloths. His house was quite barren. A solitary man's home, but suddenly someone else will live there, and a woman recovering from an injury. Then he headed to the medical supply store. He outlined his needs, and they assisted him in selecting the appropriate home equipment. He finally went to the grocery store. He purchased a lot of food. Good meal. This was not one of his normal freezer meals. Salad, meat, vegetables, and cereal. His pickup was packed. Thank God for vehicle bed covers. He packed everything away and returned to the hospital in 3 hours. The surgeon appeared just as he was about to use his laptop to complete some work. He jumped up. "Is she okay?" "Yes, Ian." The operation went nicely. No difficulties. There were many small pieces and a lot of healing to be done. Because of the number of parts and the broad area, we had to use the external fixator I stated earlier. Hers is larger than most, with numerous rods on her right leg, but the left was not as terrible. She may not enjoy it, but it will be preferable than the casts she may receive later on. Trust me, she will not appreciate having extended leg casts on both legs. Ian looked puzzled and inquired. "Sorry, but what do you mean by that?" "Her casts will extend from her foot to her thigh on both sides." "Oh, she will be unable to put weight on her legs for at least 3 months, possibly 6 or more. We need to wait until everything is solid, so she will require a wheelchair and plenty of rest. The good news is that none of her joints are injured, and because she is young, she should recuperate quickly. But it will take some time overall, approximately a year. I obtained some materials while she was under surgery. That's great. The nurses will provide you with a list of what she will require at home. Social services may also be able to help. Can I see her soon?" When she's moved into her room, when they called him, he went inside her room. She was still asleep. He approached to her bed and carefully brushed her hair away from her face. She opened her eyes and grinned. "Hey, ogre, you look good. You did not need to dress up for me." He chuckled. "I may have to stay at work after all." The doctor said everything went okay, but there's some clever technology under those sheets. He gave her a bouquet of flowers he had purchased. She started crying. "You joker! I just got back from surgery and you're making me emotional. Ian, no one has ever bought me flowers before. Well, once, but I did not get to keep them. Thank you. But why are you doing this?" "Because I can, and I want to help. I need to." So the white ring thing was challenging. I can't quit thinking about it. I require a purpose, something to keep my mind active. Helping you might be exactly what I need. It's simple, because you need assistance, and this is what people do for one another. He smiled. Besides, what other options do you have? You'll be off your feet for a while. How do you feel? It hurts, although not as much as before. I swear they added bricks to these dressings to make them heavier. Want to see? Yes, but promise not to peek beneath my gown. I know you're kind. He rolled his eyes. Just kidding, big man. They slowly drew aside the sheet, revealing massive metal rods attached to both legs. Those seem useful. Her eyes flooded with tears. Ian, I don't know what I'd have done without your assistance. Not an issue. If I hadn't intervened, a bear would have caught you. Thank you for that. Honestly, though, thank you. She squeezed his hand. On the 6th day, she was allowed to return home. She could use a wheelchair, but her legs had to be elevated most of the time to relieve swelling. He had been visiting her before and after work, and while they had learned a lot about each other, they had not discussed their pasts. He told me he was at Ian's apartment. Here it is, Allie. Home, sweet home. Fortunately, it is a walk-in, so we can quickly get you in and out. Hang on, I'll show you around. This is the living room. I use a Roku to watch TV and movies. I'll show you how it works. And here's the kitchen where you may make your meals. He chuckled. Actually, I relocated a lot of stuff to the lower shelves here and in the pantry over there so you can get snacks and protein bars from your chair. And here's some peanut butter. I hope it's especially crunchy, but I doubt you'll want any of my food. Ian, that is not safe to eat. The FDA would warn you about it. Here's the bathroom. What's in there? A shower chair. You transfer from wheelchair to shower chair. Move back after you've completed your tasks. I brought you a variety of lovely soaps and shampoos. I have a toothbrush, comb, deodorant, and a razor. An extremely heavy-duty razor with a large number of blades. The box states that it can be used on llamas. I even went to the veterinary supply store to get some sheep clippers, just in case she stuck her tongue at him. Oh, and a few of them. He turned a little red. Did you buy me those? She could feel tears welling up. Wow. Mountain Man. How did you know you could acquire those? How much did you pay for them? He frowned. Sorry, Ian. I should not have. It was the most difficult thing I'd ever bought. I've never done it before. Sizes, shapes, brands. I eventually asked a woman, and she said these are the best ones. They're huge and can be washed and reused. Get out of here, goofball. No, seriously. I asked a woman, and she said these would be fine. I can get you whatever more you need. Just create a list, Ian. You've already accomplished so much. I will find a way to repay you. More tears. Okay, let's get started with the tour. This is the bedroom with new sheets. I got rid of the old ones and ensured there were no bugs. Remember, you should do those exercises around 6 times every day. You need to strengthen your arms so you can move better. I can't carry you everywhere because of my terrible back. What's that thing? A bedside commode? So if you need to go at night, you can do so immediately away. If you call, I'll help you move your legs. But you might be able to simply shift onto it while keeping your legs on the bed. Oh, and there's a pot underneath that may be emptied in the morning, much like a chamber pot. I also placed around 30 rolls of toilet paper next to it just in case. She became red. Sorry for that, Ian. This is a lot more than I expected, and it's all about my personal care. But are you sure it wouldn't be better if you used it? I mean, as you get older, you may need to go more frequently. She laughed. Good job, Allie, he said, attempting to ignore her jest while smiling. It's exactly what you need to grow better. You should call me if you require assistance. I promise to keep things professional and avoid discussing any private topics. You ogres definitely know how to speak. I bet the ogre girls adore that. But Ian, I really don't know. He raised his hand to stop her. Allie, you need help. It is that simple. That is what people do. At the very least, that is what they should do. I'm pleased to assist. You are valuable and deserve to be cared for, not just. He pointed downward. Mr. Ogre, you are too much. Can you assist me get to bed so I can rest? I'm in need of a brief nap. Then I have exercises and food to eat. He guided her to the bed, but she had to move on her own. Ian, before you leave, I realize this is against the principles of professionalism, but might I thank you for everything you've done? What? Sure. He leaned over and quickly expressed his gratitude. She tightened up at first, but soon relaxed and held his face as they had a tender moment. She moaned and pulled away. You're foolish. Get away of here. I am sorry, Allie. Perhaps I misunderstood. Did you? She whispered quietly. I expected it to be horrible, but it wasn't. I expected to detest it, but I didn't. That was nice. Oh, Ian and I should not have done that correctly. He looked bewildered and turned to go. Wait, can we do that again? He returned, leaned down, and they had another brief moment of connection. She held him tight and enjoyed the feeling. Wow, still nice. Ian, what should I do now? Simply focus on getting better. Allie, I will go make you a peanut butter sandwich. Get out. Wait. Where are you going? To sleep. Ian, I am stealing your bed. That is not fair. I received an inflatable mattress. I figured the couch wouldn't be adequate and your belongings might damage the mattress. I will be all right. You take your nap and I will prepare something wholesome for you. When you're ready, we can watch television. The following morning, he assisted her into her chair, washed her up, and laid out scrubs for her. We didn't talk about it yesterday, but I got you some things, including t-shirts, long sleeves, baggy shorts, and those scrubs. I even purchased a few comfortable dresses. I got you some everyday goods, but I wasn't sure which size to get. Well, you know, she rolled over to him. Everyday things. Is that how you call them in North Carolina? I wear a 34C, but perhaps I should go with you to select some. I could do without. But then you can get the wrong impression. What are your thoughts, Ian? Something practical? They're simply realistic, Allie. I feel horrible enough already. This will not improve my self-esteem. Sorry, Allie. I can return what doesn't work and take you to the store to purchase whatever else you require. You are aware that we seek to please. Ali, please do not cry. It's not a major concern. Ian, this is a major deal. Nobody has ever offered me anything else than troubles. They settled into a daily routine. Ali looked for activities to keep her busy. She attempted to make his meals, clean, and do the laundry. When it got warm, she began viewing food and computer-related films on his television. She sat outside in the sun, talking to neighbors who walked by with their dogs. But when Ian returned home, she requested, Ian, can I come to work with you and perhaps learn about computers? I've never owned a cell phone or a computer. I'd love to assist out. I could greet customers if I could see them from my seat. And I hope your office accommodates everyone, she replied with a smile. I could still answer the phone and accept messages. What are your thoughts? She asked. Sure. That would be excellent. The next morning, she accompanied him to work. He began rearranging things to make it simpler for her to move around and showed her the workplace. So, here is the well-known computer services office. It's very lovely. Do you get many walk-ins, or are most appointments scheduled in advance? Both. She primarily stared, but as soon as the customers entered, she began greeting them. Ali, I need to see someone soon. I will be back in less than an hour. Simply tell individuals that they can return or leave their phone number, whatever they choose. The same applies to the phone. Inform people that they can leave a message with their phone number. There are notepads by the phone and on the counter. If you have any problems or inquiries, please call me. Here's my number. It appeared like he left during the busiest period. While making their decisions, each person was greeted warmly, apologized to, and given a clear explanation. He returned with lunch and a package. He fetched a box from the rear to put in his backpack, and they shared lunch together. Following that, he attended to his customers. She adored it. When they arrived home, she offered to prepare dinner, but he smiled and said he'd handle it. After dinner, he said to Allie, I have a couple of gifts for you. First, here's a cell phone. It's actually a little computer. I have already saved my phone number, so you can call or text me at any moment. I will show you how to use it. I also saved the doctor's number. And here's an iPad, a PC with a larger display. I will also tell you how to use that. Wow, Ian, this is excessive. I cannot accept this, she exclaimed. He raised his hand. It isn't a big deal, Allie, but I'd like you to assist me with some phone inquiries. Every day, I receive at least 5 phone calls from folks in need of assistance. They frequently find themselves unsure about what to do. I'd be happy to help because they could be future customers, but I simply don't have the time, and there is no price for the phone call. If you could learn enough to assist with those calls, that would be extremely helpful to me. There is a great deal of information available online. Once you have a thorough understanding of the Apple system, we may move on to the Android system. How does that sound? Is this something you want to do? Oh, yes. That would be wonderful. I can't wait to get better at this. Do I receive a certificate or a plaque after I finish? He smiled and shook his head. Sure, Allie. You'll find everything you need to connect to the network both at home and at work. So if you wanted to send me a fast message that night, his phone rang as soon as he laid down. Oh no. What is it now? Ian, thank you for everything. I can't repay you, but I'll try. It was her first message. Her subsequent communications came out well. She was growing more confident. She was really interested learning about computers and would often remain up late after he went to bed. As they entered the second week, Ali, I'm getting bored of you lounging around all day. I realize you're busy with Apple training. But I'm sorry, Ian. What do you need me to do? He smiled. How about going to school? I think I'd really enjoy that. But I don't have any money. My boss simply offers me lodging and board. She grinned back. Allie, some community colleges provide free tuition. You can learn online or in person. I spoke with folks at a local institution, and they believe you should apply. You simply need to complete out an application online. We will also need to locate your birth certificate and high school documents. Allie, have you finished high school? It's fine if you didn't. I just want to know. Ian, calm down. I finished, remember? GED. It was difficult, but I did it. Great. We need a large number of documents. However, as a novice computer expert, you should find this easy. Take my credit card for any fees. What are your thoughts? They even offer computer training classes that lead to certificates. And we know how much you enjoy those. They're intended for folks who work. Because it is a training program, you will not need to attend any further classes unless you only want to focus on computers. The semester begins next week, so let us hurry. She held him tight. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ian. Is it improper to believe that you feel a closer connection to me than just as someone you helped? No, Allie. You're correct. Not at all. Ian, I genuinely want to be near you, yet I'm terrified. This is all very new to me. I am dealing with a lot of stuff. You deserve better. I'm not sure how to deal with all of this. I really do not want to mess things up. Remember the Titanic? Please chat to me and let me know if I'm making mistakes. I hope you will be patient with me. I've never felt this way about somebody before, and I truly don't want to ruin it. That is something you should always remember. He replied with a nod. He gave her a comforting smile. No worries, Allie. There is no haste. You have control over the timing. Now, go online and start the application. Only 3 days later, the shop was closing. A young woman with short hair came in. She appeared nervous and anxious. She took 3 deep breaths to calm herself. She stepped forward. Allie greeted her. Hi, miss. Thank you for attending. We were about to close. How can I help you? She stood straight and took a long breath. I need to see Ian. I really need to talk to him, okay? He's in the background. Can I explain to him what this is about? She looked down and suggested it might be best if you didn't. She then added, Wait, Allie. You're the girl in the news. That is how I found him, after 2 years. What news? Allie expressed amazement. Your photo and story were everywhere. You are the girl Ian saved, correct? Yes, I suppose I am. She spoke calmly, staring at you. I believe you might be Sam. The girl nodded. Okay, I will not say anything. I will get him. She turned and whispered. Good luck. She then called out, Ian, there is someone here who urgently needs to talk to you. Please listen carefully. What? He asked as he walked out. He stopped for a bit before gradually approaching the counter, maintaining a distance between them. She straightened up and said, Oh, Ian. She extended a hand, but suddenly dropped it. Ian, I am deeply sorry for what I did. I cared for you more than anyone else. I still care about you. I miss you every day. I wish I could have you with me again. But what type of person would do what I did to you? How did I think that was okay? It was wrong. So wrong. I keep wondering how and why. I have been going to therapy every week since you left, but I still do not have answers. Ian continued to stare at her, his face unreadable. I can't forget my faults. I'm not sure if I'll ever get over it. When I crashed into the van a second time, I didn't even realize it was you. I promised myself that if I lived, I would make the best and most devoted partner. I intended it. I have not seen Bo or Rex since that night. I have not seen anyone. I'm not asking you to forgive me or understand. I do not deserve that. I only want to help you. If I could relieve your misery, I would do so without thinking. I'll do whatever to help. Just anything. If you don't want to see me again, I totally understand. Every day, I feel the pain that I inflicted. And I can't comprehend how you feel inside, but thank you for allowing me to at least apologize. She took a few long breaths in between cries. He kept glancing at her. She paused. Ian, please say something. I want to help you. I can still see the hurt in your eyes. She started walking away, but hesitated. But Ian, if nothing else, please go see your parents. Your mother tears every day. They scarcely spoke to Bo and Rex. Those two went on. Your parents almost split up as a result of this. Ian, your father blames your mother for everything. He wanted to inform you from the beginning. My parents are the same. They may end up separating too. It's all because of me. Because of what I have done. She hugged herself tightly and let out a pained sound. Please, Ian. Say something. Anything. I am simply so hurt. What's wrong with you, Ian? For heaven's sake, you should be there for her. Remember, people should help each other when they are in need. Come on. Ian, you have two women who care profoundly about you. Oh no, I apologize. No, I am not sorry. You have two women who care so deeply that they would do anything to alleviate your agony, to get you out of that dark spot in your head and back into life. But you're not letting us in. Just one look in your eyes shows how hurt you are. I see it. Sam sees it. I really care about you. But it breaks my heart every time I gaze into those eyes. It hurts me. And I cannot comprehend how difficult it is for you. But you refuse to open the shell you've made around yourself and let us in. It has been 2 years, Ian. It's time to confront your demons. It's time to let them go. It's time to start forgiving and moving on. Please. Sam was shocked. Nobody spoke to Ian like that. Ian switched his gaze from Sam to Allie, frustration rising in him. Everything he felt inside was surfacing now. He took a step forward and talked passionately. Do it. Ian, let it out. You've been holding it in for far too long. I recognize that look. I can sense the storm within you. If that helps even slightly, let it go. Please. Simply convey how you've been feeling. You have no idea what it is like, Allie. Every night I see memories that haunt me. Sam gasped, realizing the gravity of his words. Did you see us? Oh no, I'm so sorry. Sam let out a distress call. She covered her mouth, holding back tears as she realized it had been going on while we were together and during my marriage. Discovering that your parents knew but never told you. Her parents knew but never told you. That feels like a lot of betrayals from people you care about. How do you believe I should feel? It was dreadful, Ian. What happened to you was not fair, and this should not happen to anyone. But you need to move on. Don't let the past overshadow the positive things in your life. He clung to her closer. But the memories and concerns endure. You've no idea. You want to hear about memories. Consider how you would feel if you were harmed on your 13th birthday and no one was there to help. All that misery does not have to define you. After that, she never mentioned it again. So much for the big occasion. Ian, what was yours like? Imagine being asked to the junior prom. I liked him, and he was the first boy who noticed me and invited me out. Imagine wearing your lovely dress, and then having everything flipped upside down in an unexpected and terrible way. Someone who harmed me in ways I didn't understand. The last thing I remember is my date standing at the door and another person urging him to go. I was not going anywhere. Then he threw the flowers he had brought for me on the ground. That was my last day of school. I never went back. Imagine waking up in bed with your mother, still feeling some affects, but noticing a void forming and wondering how you would manage it. Opening your eyes and turning over, you find her calm and quiet, and you realize that if you hadn't been so preoccupied with your own problems, you might have been able to help her. She was not flawless. She took a lot away from me, yet she was still my mother. Do you want to compare stories, Ian? I have a lot to share, but I think I can outperform you. Check out my arms, my legs, scars are everywhere. But I have scars on the inside, too. Everywhere there was a vein. I had to draw my own blood in the hospital since they couldn't find a vein. Then I set up my own IV, so they could give me medication until they inserted a larger one into my neck while I was sleeping. I don't feel entire. I'm terrified that one day you'll want to see me completely and then be upset and want me to leave. Those scars remind me of who I once was and will never be again. But you hide your scars under your powerful chest, in your gorgeous yet troubled head, and at the spot where your spirit should reside. Let us help you, Ian. If not me, then your mother or someone you have yet to meet. Let someone in. Let someone assist you. She cried even harder. You are more attached to your sorrow and suffering than I ever was. Please get help. Ian. He continued to stare at her, and she prepared herself for his response. She could almost feel the weight of what was coming. I knew it would be difficult to bear. But the moment never arrived. He clutched her t-shirt hard and peered at her. She was now the source of his severe suffering. Looking into his eyes, Allie murmured quietly, almost like a sweet whisper tinged with regret. I told you I was afraid I'd screw things up. I really messed it up, didn't I? I should never have said anything. I apologize. I'll stay in the store tonight. Then I'll return to the crisis center tomorrow. I sincerely appreciate everything you have done for me. I will find a way to repay you. He let go of his grip and let her drop back into her seat. His face softened, and he appeared to lose all strength. He started crying for the first time since that night in Carolina. He shed tears. Ian. I'm truly sorry. I did not mean to. Allie, you can't leave. I need you. I may have saved your life, but you're saving mine. Everything you said is correct. I needed to hear that. I apologize if I have hurt you. I'm not sure I could have lived with it. That's something I'd never forget. I apologize. He bowed down and provided comfort with a soft gesture. She wiped a tear from her face and turned to gaze at Sam. She flinched. I'm sorry, too. I should have heard what you were saying. We were young and foolish. I should have noticed it from the outset. Looking back, the signals were always there. We don't get second chances in life. Perhaps we have improved as individuals. I am not sure if you can still be a beautiful and faithful partner, but not with me. I apologize for that, but it is simply not doable. She nodded. And I have forgiven you. He came around to hug her. She clutched him tightly and began to cry. Ian, I'm so sorry I damaged everything, and see how it affected others. I don't think anyone could have messed up as horribly as I did. But thank you. Thank you very much. He kept holding her while she wailed. When she had calmed down, she let go. Allie responded, Sam, you are a beautiful woman. But right now, you don't look good. I suppose none of us do. The restroom is right around the corner. Allow me to show you where it is so you can freshen up. Then maybe Mr. Grumpy will take us both out to dinner somewhere with a ramp? Of course. I don't know about you, but I'm very hungry. We can all fit into the truck, however. My gear occupies a lot of room. They approached the restroom. Allie inquired quietly. Hold on a second. Sam, where are you planning to sleep tonight? To be honest, I was unsure whether he would even want to see me. I expected it to be so horrible that I would want to leave town right away and cry somewhere else. You were correct about that. It was quite bad. I was afraid I had gone too far and was going to go into big trouble. I hope we won't have to go through that again. Here is the deal. I believe you both require more assistance than just a supper together. You can join me, but you'll have to cope with my belongings. I have been going through a lot lately. He is lying on an air mattress. We could transfer it into the bedroom so you can sleep on it while Mossman uses the couch. He doesn't realize it yet, but tomorrow is Friday, and I'm closing the store and changing his appointments. I'll claim it's family problems in Carolina. Allie, thank you. But why are you doing this? I am the ex, aren't you? And he... You understand. No, he's stuck. To be honest, I too am stuck. That was our third instance of connection. You may have heard that I have issues, but if I have to compete with someone he still cares for, it will not work in the long run. I genuinely care for him, but he must select me, or you, or perhaps someone else. Allie. I suppose he's made his decision, and it is not me. I've waited 2 years thinking he'll love me enough to forgive what I did. Only one look into his eyes. How could I possibly have injured him or us? She started crying. With one glimpse, I knew there was no going back. Allie came closer and hugged her. That being said, I felt you were in serious trouble when he grabbed you. I've never seen him act like that. We grew up together, which was strange. I was trying to find out how to help you. I'm just glad he didn't try to face me like that. I would have felt quite uncomfortable. Let me get cleaned up so we can talk about the ogre. Is that what you're calling him? Yep. Keeps him grounded. They both laughed. They spent the night conversing and telling stories. It was not easy. Allie joined in a few times, but they largely caught up on each other's life and reminisced about wonderful times. Allie told Sam numerous stories. Finally, all three felt a little better, and Allie observed Ian's mood improving. It was a small step towards feeling better. After breakfast, a tired-looking Sam stated that he needed to go thank them for their support. He had a lot of anger and anguish that needed to be released, but healing takes time for both of them. On Monday at midday, the hospital's CFO called Ian. We spend a lot of money on our computer system, and it's quite slow, especially in the mornings when we have a lot of traffic. I also believe we are paying too much for software licensing and gear. I believe we should evaluate what we have, how it works, and how we might enhance things while saving money. Is that anything you're interested in? It might begin as a consultancy position, and who knows, it could evolve into something more permanent if desired. What are your thoughts? Sure. That sounds wonderful. You all do an excellent job for the folks of this area. If I can help you improve and deliver even better treatment, I am all in. When can we meet to discuss this? After they've set a date. Allie, do you understand what this could mean? It might almost be a full-time career, complete with benefits. I might be able to handle some of this on the side, but I may not need to. She held him tight. Ian, this is your fantasy come true. I'm very delighted for you. The town requires you. Even the towns nearby require your assistance. Perhaps we can get someone to join us and keep things going. It might be called Computer Service Associates. If my legs could improve, I could even help out. You don't seem so certain. Let's wait and watch how things go. I want to study as much as I can right now. Now let's go home and I'll make you a nice meal. Hello? Why are you making that face? I thought you liked the supper I made yesterday. Fortunately, I did not have to visit the emergency room. Today, I wasn't sick. However, your extra crispy fried chicken was ... Interesting. Kind of like fried chicken chips. So I burned them a little. I've lost count of time. It's because you have an affordable fryer. I need the correct equipment to prepare my greatest meals. I actually used your automobile to order new pots, pans, a fryer, a stove, an oven, and even a working toaster. Yours does not help me at all. It is not my fault. It is the equipment." He laughed. "But I've got a plan now. Cooking is similar to coding. You must maintain proper order and timeliness. So I didn't order any of the other items, but I did purchase some timers and thermometers to monitor the temperature of the oil and meat. I'll finally use measuring cups and follow the instructions rather than doing whatever comes to mind." "All right, chef. What are you cooking tonight?" "Takeout from the pizza place and some rich chocolate brownies made from a box recipe. It's really simple. Mostly I can't explain the last batch. I'll have to cook for the kids someday." "Ian, I'm deeply sorry. I did not mean to say that. There is no pressure. I occasionally become overly enthused about the future. I mean," he leaned down. "It's okay, Allie. I think about those topics as well, perhaps in the future. 2 to 4 children. It's all boys. What? 2 to 4. I wish to spoil a couple of adorable little daughters with their large, muscular daddy." She grinned at him. "Ian, I'm very scared. I have never loved someone before, and nobody ever loved me, but this past weekend was really difficult for me. How about you?" "My big dude." He nodded. "Why don't we go home and relax?" "Yes, Captain. The pizza is always quite nice. Will you make pizza, Allie?" "Sure. The sort that comes frozen and only needs 10 minutes in the oven. I can handle it, as long as I remember to set the timer and use the appropriate temperature." She laughed. "Ian, I'm going to take a shower now, and maybe you can assist me get to bed later. I'm feeling quite fatigued. I'll call you when I am ready." After her shower, she gently dried around her medical equipment and put ointment to the areas where the rods penetrated her flesh. It felt odd. She reached beneath the sink and discovered the bag she had ordered online. She put on a lightweight, comfy shirt. It came with a matching set, but it was too snug around her equipment, so she chose to forego them. "I truly don't like this thing. When I'm feeling this way, it's difficult to maintain my confidence. I hope Ian doesn't find me unattractive or uninteresting. What if he doesn't really like me? I need more deodorant. I'm so nervous. If I shave more, I'll wind up damaging my skin." I informed him how I felt, but he hasn't responded. It's as if it never occurred. Then we talked about children. Was he joking? Is he truly considering it someday? I'm so nervous. Okay, here goes. What if he dislikes how I look? What if I botch it up? "Ian, could you assist me get into bed?" Ian entered the room and halted. He gazed at her but said nothing. Tears stung her eyes. "Ian, I apologize. Perhaps I should not have done this. I just thought. She started to roll herself back to the restroom. "Stop, Allie. Please do not leave. I am the one who should apologize. You're stunning and flawless. I think I got a bit tongue-tied." He smiled. "Actually, I guess I'll just sit on the bed and look at you. To be honest, that was not what I had hoped for. But if that's what you like, I guess I'll go with it. Should I pose in my wheelchair? Perhaps I should launch a magazine called Wheelchair Stars. That sounds fun, right?" He laughed. "No way. I'm not really into that. I've never been a fan of gazing without touching." He gently hoisted her up, and she placed an arm over his neck. "Ian, please turn the lights out. I don't want you to see all of my scars, Allie. These scars are a part of you. There is no reason to hide them. I want to see you all. Olga, could you hold me? I truly need to feel protected in response." He carefully placed her on the bed, sat next her, and wrapped his arms around her. They exchanged a delicate kiss. It began gently and grew increasingly delicate. She sighed with happiness, happy to be near him. He felt powerful and soothing, like her personal hero. My ogre. Her hands began to move, as did his. They both seemed more eager now. She eventually drew away from the kiss and stared into his eyes. "Ian, I think I am ready. I might be apprehensive, but I genuinely enjoy being here with you. But what if you don't want to?" He silenced her with a gentle embrace, and they had another quiet moment together. He softly touched her arm, and she made a quiet sound. She started to feel more at ease with him. He continued to console her, and she turned slightly to feel his warmth. "Ian, could you just hold me closer?" He hugged her even tighter, giving her a sense of security that she valued. She was cheerful and relaxed, enjoying the moment with him. "Ian, would you mind sharing some of your warmth with me?" she asked. He readily consented, throwing his arms around her for protection. "I understand that it may feel overwhelming, but that's okay. Simply trust your feelings," he reassured her. "I'm just a little worried, Ian. Nobody has ever been this close to me before. It's always been hard. To be honest, I've never done this before and had no idea what to expect. You just need to relax and let me take the lead for a time. Do what feels best for you. Remember, I'm here for you." He spoke kindly. "Do not worry. You are doing absolutely well." A kiss relieved her anxieties, and she exhaled happily. "I feel protected and cherished in his presence." He returned to softly kissing her and saw she wasn't dressed. "What? What? No underwear? What kind of girl are you?" he joked. They wouldn't fit, foolish. His fingers moved across her thighs, and she arched her back slightly. He stroked her softly, and she responded gently. "Oh, Ian." She moved in response before lying down. "Ian, that was the first time I'd felt something like that with a man. I think I'll enjoy this. No more chatting." "I'd really like to see that," he chuckled. "Of all things, that piques your attention. Yes, you can be close to me whenever you want, just not at work or in public. What if I am down below and you are talking to someone or on the phone? No, I'd be unable to focus." "Oh, Ian, I really care about you." She paused. "Sorry, Ian." I repeated it again without thinking. "You do not have to. There is no pressure. But I care about you, Allie. It's okay. I'm sorry I hadn't stated it before. I guess I was a little terrified, exactly like you. Do you? You actually care about me? Oh, Ian, you have made me the happiest girl in the world. I've never felt this way about someone staring down. Nobody has ever cared for me like way. Thank you, Ian." Then she brightened up. "Thank you. I'm going to make a cake from scratch and fry some more chicken. No thanks are required, Allie. Particularly not for the chicken. I enjoyed it. They had a lovely moment together. But Allie, I'm worried that one day I won't be enough for you and you'll do what Sam did. I couldn't handle it again." She gazed at him. "You're foolish." "Just keep being who you are," he interrupted. "That is what Sam said. She told Beau in the RV that I was better than him and that she loved me unconditionally, even when she was with him. Oh, Ian." She started crying. "I would never do that to you. Hurting you would harm me. I could not live with myself if I betrayed you. You feel like a part of me. Whatever happens to you occurs to me. Even if circumstances changed and we were unable to perform what we had done previously, it would not matter. It's what's inside here." She then touched his chest. "And what's happening here?" Pointing at his head. "Even if there is a lot of foolishness in there, if a disaster struck and I was left with only one other individual, the whole race would perish because I would not be with him. I would simply make him fried chicken. Thank you, Ian. I am safe. I'm yours for as long as you want me. I'm the one who is concerned that I will not be enough. Smart enough, attractive enough, young enough. However, you could be robbing the cradle a little. What? I am only, 6 years older than you? Actually, only 5, I believe, right? But Ian, I can only imagine how betrayed you must have felt. If that's anything like how I feel at night when I imagine what it would be like if you abandoned me. I could not take it. I'm not sure how you managed. Do not worry, Allie, that is not going to happen." They had a romantic moment, then she drew back abruptly. "Oh no. Ian, what was I thinking? Tomorrow, you must take me to the drugstore to acquire a few items. How could I forget? It hasn't been long since my last period, so it should be safe. But I've read that it can linger. Ian, I could not do that to you. Calm down. Allie, the chances are slim. Are we about to have a fun conversation? Isn't it neat? But you should not laugh. You should say something like this. Oh, honey, you make me feel so fantastic. She laughed and answered, Oh, sweetheart, you really make me feel good. Wait, what's happening? Ian, what do you mean? He shouldn't relax until I finish with him. And I'm not finished yet. She got off for a moment before climbing back on Ian. He needs to learn a lesson about being too relaxed. It's not authorized. I'll go extremely gently, yet fast enough to keep him involved, but not so quickly that he completes too soon. She moved gently up and down, so he'll have to wait a little. Okay, Allie. But you know you're only making things tougher for yourself. Besides, we could simply do this. He drew her close and began moving swiftly. That is not fair. Let go, huge guy. Then they laughed. Ian, I love you so much. You will never really know. She grinned at him. Okay, you won. Do whatever you want with me. He changed their positions to bring them closer together. However, I believe my system will require a restart. He moved slightly then again. He moved again. And again. He moved again. Oh, here comes a slew of emotions ready to be shared with you. There are many small moments floating around. They had a close moment and both chuckled. Oh, Ian, thank you for taking care of me. I cherish every moment I spend with you and miss every second you're away. Now it's time for another reset. Finally, one day when they had completed their activities, she said, Ian, it is time for you to return to Carolina and make peace with your family, or at least contact them again. You will not be able to move on unless you confront them. They committed mistakes, huge mistakes. What they did was horrible. But recall what Sam said. Your mother loves you, and this must be difficult for her. Exactly like it is for you. She lost all 3 boys and nearly lost her husband. It's been more than 2.5 years. Thank you, Allie. I am not sure Thank you, Ian. I want to meet them. Do you know how people often say, take me home to meet your mother? Please. Look, if I'm going home to visit my family, you have to accompany me. What? Really, Ian? You'd take me home to meet your folks. But what if I mess up? What if I disgrace you? What if they dislike me? What should I wear? Oh, Ian, what if they believe I am not good enough for you? What if? Stop it. Allie, none of this matters. It'll be okay. They'll like you a lot. But even if they don't, I don't care. When it comes to you, I'm not too concerned with their opinions. I love you, and that's what really matters. But you're correct. Before I take you home, I need to make this official. He got down on one knee and held out a little black box with a ring inside. Allie, will you do me the honor of becoming my wife? Her eyes filled with tears as she raised her hands. Whoa! Hold on, huge man, I need to talk to you first. Fear, and disappointment were visible on his face. His shoulders dropped. No, Ian. I used 7 words, not the dreaded 4 words. I love you, and I know you do too. I have gazed inside your soul, and I believe I understand you. You have gazed into mine. I guess you are also familiar with me. But Ian, I am a bit rough around the edges. Look at me. I have a loud voice. I occasionally say things I shouldn't, and I can't remain quiet. Sometimes I am all over the place. I have highs and lows that must drive you insane, while you appear to be calm and steady. I get very thrilled, and I am aware that there will be occasions when I annoy you. You'll simply sit there, shaking your head at me. I can't simply sit quietly on the couch and watch a game. The bad news is that I'm a complete mess. But I promise you this. Nobody will ever love you more than I do. Nobody will strive more every day to keep you happy and our love strong. I will do my best to earn your love, even if it takes time. You can be certain of one thing. I will never hurt you. You won't have to worry about me being unfaithful or betraying you. My heart is entirely yours. Nobody else will ever mean anything to me. So, Ian, that is the type of woman I am. If you can accept all of that, and that is the type of person you want, please ask me again. Allie, will you give me the honor of becoming Mrs. Ian Turner? Yes. Yes, indeed. She lurched forward with her canes, hugging him fiercely. Oh, Ian, I will work very hard to make you happy. I pledge to make your parents like me, too. If you want a large family, I will give it a shot. There are no promises, however. Tomorrow you can take me to the tattoo shop. What for? He inquired, perplexed. I'm going to remove my hair and get a large tattoo that says special for Ian, but with a big arrow pointing to myself. What are your thoughts? I believe I adore you, Allie. Then I'll prepare us a lovely dinner. No. Nice concept. However, I already have reservations at the restaurant we wanted to visit. Is that a dig at my cooking? She inquired, giggling. Oh, Ian, thank you very much. You've made me so happy. Dinner was great. They had a dance floor, so he invited her to dance, a slow one. Ian, I can't dance using these canes. I look foolish and could fall. Turner, I wanted to talk to you about Ian. He had been thinking about reaching out to you, and I believe that could be an important step for both of you. That'd be lovely, Allie. It has been a while since I heard from him. I'd love to discuss. Allie felt a feeling of comfort. Great. I do not want to put any pressure on you, but it might help him reconnect. I understand how hard it is for him. I am grateful for your support. Thank you for understanding. We can work it out together. They talked for a bit longer, deciding how to best arrange a conversation between Ian and his mother. As Allie hung up, she hoped that this would be the beginning of something good for Ian. Ian returned and noted Allie's expression. What exactly did she say? She seems open and willing to communicate. I believe you should take some time to comprehend things. Thank you for doing this for me, Allie. It means a lot. I'm just here to help. I believe it is best to reach out whenever you feel ready. I know it's been complicated, but with your help, I believe I can face it. Exactly. You are not alone in this. Their talk gradually moved on to lighter themes, and they both felt at ease as they enjoyed each other's company. Turner, Ian, and I would want to visit Raleigh for a few days over Thanksgiving. We could come. She heard a gasp from the other end of the telephone. Mrs. Turner, are you all right? Allie. Oh, Allie, is this actually possible? Is this your idea? Yes, it is, but it must happen. He will not feel better until he returns home and finds some calm, she continued, her voice trembling. Did he ask you to call? Yes, ma'am. Is he aware you're calling? Yes, ma'am. I made him go for a stroll so he wouldn't get too near and cause me anxiety. Oh, Allie, if you can make this happen, I have so much to say. There is so much I need to say. First, I owe him an apology. Thank you. Allie, I cannot wait to meet you. Please tell him I'm sorry and that I love and miss him. She sounded emotional, which made Allie feel the same. Mrs. Turner, he also loves you. He's simply feeling overloaded. You understand how men can be? Oh, I apologize, Mrs. Turner. I didn't mean to use offensive language. Allie heard a laugh from the other end. If he can forgive Sam, then he can forgive you. But I don't know about his brothers. He never speaks about them. You would be extremely proud of what he has accomplished here. His computer repair business is thriving, and the hospital has asked him to work full-time managing their computer systems. There are a few hospitals and plenty of doctors' offices. I have a lot to tell you. I'll give you the details, but we can probably just hire a car from the airport. He claimed you were approximately an hour away. I've never flown before, but I've heard there can be delays during the holidays. But there is one more thing, Mrs. Turner. I understand you're his mother and know best, but there's something I need to express. Clearly, I don't know what's best, Allie, or we wouldn't be in this situation. Please let me know what you are thinking. Can you ensure that it's just you and Mr. Turner? You understand. No friends or relatives. There's no Sam or her parents. And there are no Bo and Rex. Right? Yes, that's correct. I apologize, Mrs. Turner. I believe if there are other people or a gathering, he may depart. Is this okay? Perhaps we can plan for another time. Allie, you know him better than I do. I will do what you believe is best, anything at all, if you can help him get here. Great. I will see you shortly. Mrs. Turner, I cannot wait to meet you. Thank you. Allie, Sam thinks you're just what he needs. Thank you very much. It was a long walk, Ian. I did not intend for you to walk that far. Your mother and I have been discussing recipes. Really? Ian, did you bump your head or something? No, we were not trading recipes. She was emotional and wanted me to express how sorry she is and how much she loves and misses you. This is the correct thing to do. He nodded. They checked in at the kiosk and then joined the enormous line to get through security. Allie was pulled aside and spent nearly 20 minutes with a female TSA agent who summoned 2 more agents. They continued looking at Ian and smiling. Finally, they gave her a thumbs up and released her. Wow, Allie, what was in your bag? I assumed they'd keep you there forever. They even invited in the other agents to look, and your face is quite red. What happened? Nothing. Not a thing. You're a jerk. You did not tell me. They inspect all carry-on stuff. I had the thing you gave me. Your massager. Ian started laughing. It's no wonder they all came over to see. That's a fun story for them, Ian. I felt very humiliated. Why haven't you told me? It was dreadful. I wasn't even sure what she was looking at. And then she called for help. I believe I will simply toss it out at your mother's house, or we will have to drive home with it. Maybe your mother wants it. He chuckled. You know you're foolish. I won't talk to you until my face stops becoming crimson. That might not happen until we get to Raleigh. Stop laughing, you giant goofball. I guess I never expected someone to bring that in their bag. We'll be in separate rooms at your mother's. That is why I brought it, foolish head. I have my own needs. You've truly instilled a habit in me, as they prepared to take off. Allie clutched Ian's arm hard. She squealed as the pilot began to accelerate for takeoff, shoving her back into her seat. She adored it. Oh, Ian, this is incredible. Look at how little the ground appears. I love how little the dwellings are getting. We should be flying all the time. You should make a lot of money. But I can also aid. I'm getting better at the store. She was just as excited upon landing. After that, they picked up their rental car and drove an hour to Ian's house. You know, Ian, I now have my license so I can drive. This is my first license ever. I've never required one before. The driver's exam was difficult because of my legs, but you taught me well. So we're here now. It's time for the next part. You need to get out of the automobile, Ian. We cannot just sit here and speak. Ian's mother hurried down the steps to greet him as soon as he stepped out of the car. She opened her arms for a hug, but paused. Ian, I'm deeply sorry for what I did. I broke both your and my trust. She started crying. Ian, I sincerely apologize. I should not have let this happen. At first I wasn't sure what to do, then I hoped that they would cease, and then it was too late. I was wrong about everything. She couldn't finish the sentence. It's okay, Mom. I should have worked it out, but it's over now. Allie gently nudged him and pointed to his mother, who was still looking at the ground. He came forward and drew her into a loving hug. Oh, Ian, she wailed, laying her head on his chest. I'm so sorry. I love you so much and have missed you so much. After they broke go of the hug, she murmured, This must be Allie. Ian, she's gorgeous. Allie, it's good to meet you. She moved closer for an embrace. Allie hugged her back while holding her canes. Dawn, please quit standing like a statue. Go over, embrace your son, and meet Allie. They were 5 steps inside the home. Ian had gone a little ahead of his parents and spotted her thinking about how she would negotiate the steps she could take. But after nearly 6 months of stillness and only a few weeks since her casts were removed, she was still stiff and weak. "Hold on, Allie." Ian dashed down the stairs, grabbed her up along with her suitcase, and carried them inside the home with ease. Then he put her down. Allie spotted his mother watching them and looked at her. "Yes, Mrs. Turner, there are some advantages to dating a large man like him. He's also fantastic at bringing in groceries, although he consumes virtually everything." Everyone laughed together. They spent the afternoon talking and catching up on lighter subjects. There were no important matters discussed, not a single mention about Bo or Rex. Dinner was one of Ian's favorites, meatloaf with roasted sweet potatoes and pecan pie. "You know, Mom, Allie is an excellent cook. Her specialty is fried chicken crispy." Allie flushed and felt shy. "Mrs. Turner, you are certainly aware that your son can be difficult at times, but he is correct. I can't cook well. I never really had a chance. I try, though. I believe you will agree that if I use a timer and set the oven correctly, I can create a decent frozen pizza and instant brownies." They all laughed again. "Mrs. Turner, it was a delicious supper. Please share your recipe with me and I will try it. It's really just a large hamburger with some breadcrumbs and other ingredients tossed in, right? I think I can handle it. Let me help you clean up while these two talk about football, politics, or whatever guy crap they do." She grinned and whispered, "Mrs. Turner, pay close attention to this. You know, folks, I'm not sure whether you've been following football, but I'm not too pleased with my team. The Broncos are struggling this season. They're 3-7, and that guy from Seattle has really let us down. But before you start bragging, Big Don Carolina is at 3-8, and you're on your third quarterback of the season. They're in even worse condition. Do you follow college football? Don, I am not sure who you support, but USC and Duke are looking fantastic. The Wolfpack follows in its wake. Not very much. Wake was quite powerful last year. Unfortunately, they lost a large number of seniors. But that probably doesn't matter because Clemson will win the ACC again. Honestly, it doesn't matter much, boys. My team, the Georgia Bulldogs, will win another national championship. But, wow, tomorrow will be full of games. After the parade, of course. Are you both interested?" The two men stared at her as she started to walk away. "Allie, I had no idea you liked football. I am a woman with numerous interests." "Oh boy. What's a girl supposed to do when she's alone at work and her boyfriend is at the hospital with all the nurses?" His mother gave a small smile. "Sure, Allie. I'd love to help." Then she murmured, "How do you know about football?" Allie laughed. "I don't know anything about football. I looked it up right before we departed. I was just waiting for the appropriate time to tell it. Fortunately, they did not ask me anything else because I am completely dumb." They both chuckled. Allie turned on the water in the sink to wash the plates and rolled up his sleeves. Suddenly, she heard someone gasp and a dish dropped and cracked. "Here, I'll help Mrs." She stooped down to pick up the pieces and noticed Mrs. Turner looking at her. She recognized the look. She had seen it too many times before. When she looked down, she realized her injection scars were visible. Embarrassment swept over her and tears welled up, making it difficult to meet Mrs. Turner's eyes. She carefully stood up and placed the pieces on the counter while gazing down. Her eyes filled with tears, which flowed down her cheeks. She wiped them away. "Do you still use drugs?" "No, Mrs. Turner. Not until at least 18 months. Not since my mother was struggling right next to me. No narcotics, alcohol, or cigars. Just caffeine. Never again. Does Ian know?" Allie nodded and looked at Mrs. Turner, wondering how she knew after Ian gone. "I've been volunteering at a homeless shelter. Allie." Allie brushed away her tears and took a big breath. She stood tall, looking directly into Mrs. Turner's eyes. "Please, Mrs. Turner, I realize I'm probably the last female any mother would want her kid to date. My mother and I experienced problems, and I grew up without a home. I do not have much. Ian bought everything I wear. I cannot thank him enough for everything he has done for me. I was struggling, but I completed my GED and am currently attending community college. While your kid is in the hospital, I am mostly responsible for the shop. I owe him everything, madam. You'd be extremely proud of him. Sorry, that is not the point. I recall lying on the dirt feeling lost. He awoke me, and when I saw his beautiful blue eyes, I felt hopeful. I felt pulled to him in every way. He might have left me there, and I would have been content simply to see those eyes. But he saved me in numerous ways. He saved me. But I also noticed grief and loneliness in his eyes, so much loneliness. I knew I needed to make him smile, laugh, have fun, and truly feel again. It has not been easy, but I believe I have completed most of it. Sam was an important part of that. I figured that might be the final thing we did together. Mrs. Turner nodded. Sam told me, there were actually 2 incidences involving Sam. My name has always been Samantha Allison, but when he asked my name and I responded Sam, he appeared surprised, so I hastily said Allie instead. Sam from here was the second one. I'm not sure if she offered any specifics, but I suspected I'd be in trouble. This was the next step towards feeling better and forgiving. He is already performing better than he was before. I don't think Bo or Rex will ever return in his life. He won't even discuss them, so who knows? When I addressed it after a few years, he warned strangers would stab you in the back. Family and loved ones have injured you in the heart. Chris let out a gasp before covering her face with her hands. No, Mrs. Turner, I apologize. I know Allie. He's correct. What I and others did to him was unforgivable. I can't believe we kept it from him, and his brothers could do that to him. Thank you for bringing him back home and restoring his life. Allie nodded. So, Mrs. Turner, I've had a difficult past. I am a mess. But no lady could ever adore your son like I do. Nobody will ever work harder every day to become the person he deserves and win his affection. Nobody could ever feel the sorrow I do when he is not with me, and I will never harm or betray him in any manner. We're connected. Hurting him would also hurt me. Mrs. Turner flinched again. Oh no, Allie, I did not mean. I'm such a mess. She started crying again. Mrs. Turner, I'm not perfect, but he's wonderful for me, and I strive hard to be the woman he deserves. Mrs. Turner stepped forward to hug her. They both cried. She took a step back and spoke. Allie, you are wonderful for him. Thank you for everything. Thank you for returning him to me. To us. She grabbed Allie's hands and held them. Then she paused. What? What's this? Allie, you two are engaged. Allie nodded. I apologize, Mrs. Turner. I told him to inform you straight away, but he wanted to wait until the proper moment. I kept it covered, but I couldn't take it off even for a short time. I warned him. I told him how imperfect I was and how I may anger him occasionally, but he still wanted to do it. He makes me very happy. However, he has a tendency to be stupid at times. I believe his life will be beautiful with you, Allie. Welcome to our family. I hope you accept us. They hugged again, and I guess you're together. Allie nodded. Then you should each have your own space to rest. Allie looked uncomfortable as she said, Oh no, I can't. It would not feel right. Ian would never allow it. You need to tell me what happened at the airport. Just come in after we've all gone to bed. I believe this is difficult for him, and he will require some consolation. She muttered. Don't tell him. But his father and I lived together for about a year before we married. I know he believes, as all boys do, that we merely got together to produce children. But his father was quite the charmer. She winked and grinned. So, how would you say it, Allie? Let us get these dishes done. Oh, my word, Mrs. Turner. That's okay. Allie, simply call me Chris. Now tell me what happened at the airport. Allie reached out to stroke Chris's arm. Oh, Chris, I can't. It was very awkward. Allie, with that introduction, you must inform me. I'd never been on an airplane before, and I assumed Ian and I would be in separate cabins, which would be a quite boring experience. So I packed my personal items in my carry-on. And you put that in your carry-on. She placed her hand over her mouth and giggled, and they were soon giggling and acting like old friends sharing a secret. Ian, it sounds like your mother cares about you. I'm delighted you both met. Even though the circumstances were strange, she is a great fit for me. She has been quite helpful to me. Look, son, I apologize. We should have informed you as soon as we became aware of the situation. But that's okay, Dad. It is over. We've all learned a lot from this. We simply need to move on. Thank you. Ian, I promise you that nothing like that will happen again. I will always be honest with you, especially when you're mistaken. They laughed together. Let's not take this honesty thing too far, Dad. And from the next room, in quiet voices. Then she pulled it out and turned it on. I swear it sounded like it came from the PA system, and all of the women stared over at me. I was so humiliated that I feared my hair might change color. She puts it back and says, "Nice." "Where did you locate it?" I told her. She even invited some of the other employees over. I was really nervous. One of them stared at me, then at Ian, and questioned, "Why this?" So I told her I was visiting his family, and she remarked, "I hope you brought extra batteries." Finally, they all glanced at me, then at Ian again, winked, gave me a thumbs up, and said, "Have a wonderful trip." Oh, Chris. I was frozen in place. Ian called me with a booming voice. "Is everything okay?" "No, that's not okay." And they both busted out laughing. "Oh, Allie, better you than I. Now tell me about the ogre stuff." I didn't understand what Sam meant. I had been lying on my back for 2 days, with 2 shattered legs. Now stop talking. They fell asleep with each other close. When the sun rose, Allie moved silently along the hall, making Chris grin. "I think I'll really like her. Breakfast is ready. Everyone, come get these waffles while they're still warm. Allie, how did you sleep last night?" She turned red but looked down well. The bed was really comfortable. Chris winked at her, causing her to blush even more. "So you two?" Donna inquired, not noting their interaction. "When is the big day?" They both began to speak at the same time, but suddenly stopped. "We haven't decided yet. Actually, we haven't discussed it much. From my perspective, we could marry tonight. But I'm not sure what Ian wants. Yes, we need to talk about it. Determine where, when, and who. I think we should keep things simple. Your mother wanted a large wedding. What a hassle. It was lovely. Sure, but it's a lot of work. Allie, do you have a large family to invite?" Ali's eyes flooded with tears. She grabbed her napkin and stood up. "I apologize. I guess there's something in my eye. I'll be back in a moment. Please start without me." She hurriedly walked down the hall to her room. Don looked perplexed, unsure what he had done. Chris and Ian stood up. "Ian, you stay here. Let me speak to her." Chris went to the bedroom, knocked, and walked in without waiting for a response. Allie was sitting on the bed, curled up with a pillow over her face. Chris perched on the edge of the bed, gently touching her shoulder. "Allie?" Allie lowered the cushion and held Chris closely. "I apologize. I didn't intend to raise a scene and ruin breakfast. It's okay." "Allie, what is wrong?" She stated they were still hugging. "It is just that I don't have anyone. Only Ian. Perhaps you too. I don't have any family. People like me have never had pals. Most people are only looking out for themselves. I can only think of Sam as a friend, and I can't ask her. It would be unfair. I understand Ian may want a large wedding, but all I see is his side full of people and mine side vacant. I can't ask him to buy me a dress or pay for everything. This is normally done by the bride's relatives. We need to save money for the future." I don't know what to say to him about this. I will do everything he asks. But honestly, we could simply go to the courthouse. I already feel like we are married. To be honest, Ali, I'm not sure what he will want either. His previous wedding was quite the affair, so he may want to keep things simple this time. Just know that we will back any decision you two make. We'd love to attend instead of having you elope. However, it makes little difference whether it is downtown or in a church. You two have the option to select. What about his family and friends? Forget about them, Allie. This is your special day, not theirs. Look, I'll talk to Ian about it, and you two can figure it out. How does that sound? Thank you, but I'll need a moment to compose myself before we can resume breakfast. Ian and I can discuss it later, though. Thank you, Chris. I much appreciate your understanding. They returned to having breakfast. I apologize. Dan, I have my act together. Honey, can we chat about some things after we eat? Great. Pass the waffles, please. I am starving. If your son had a properly functioning waffle maker, I could make them myself. Everyone laughed. Later, Allie revealed that the tears were about a wedding. Right? She nodded. And if I'm not mistaken, this is due to the fact that I have many relatives while you do not. She nodded again. Look, we can arrange a large wedding complete with a dress, flowers, a cake, and a reception. But I don't need all of it. I had it the first time, and we'll see how it turns out. So keeping things simple is great with me. It would be good to do it at home. I need to invite my family. They should come to observe where we live and what we do. But this is actually about us making a pledge to love one other no matter what happens in life, especially the bit where the wife pledges to always support her husband. I don't think that will be in our vows. You make too many mistakes. Therefore, I may have to disagree with you to get things done properly. Can I get some affection instead? When we return, let us plan the details. Do whatever you want, Allie. I just want you, Ian. That is all. We might have a justice of the peace and your family as witnesses. I'd like a simple white outfit and some plain gold jewelry. Nothing very showy. Deal. I agree. Let us work out the dates. How about a honeymoon? Dear one, every day with you feels like a honeymoon. However, we must consider our business. We can't simply run away for a week. The hospital requires you. Depending on what is going on, the town needs both of us. Wait, Ron, in particular, is one of my course's most knowledgeable computer users. He is bright, but he also understands how to communicate effectively. He speaks clearly, not just technical jargon. He understands everything about games and the technology that power them. We might provide additional services and sell the gaming equipment. Ian, this is exciting. So many ideas. What if I approached him about joining us? We could give him 1 month to see how he fits in, and if it succeeds, we can take some time off. But Ian, might we get married first and go on our honeymoon later? I want to become Mrs. Turner as soon as possible, and I hope to start a family soon. And if we're intending to marry soon, might I suspend the precautionary precautions so we can start our journey? Only if you wish to. We don't need to rush into anything. I just want to make sure you're comfy. But you know what? Those thoughts are vital for the future, and if you desire a large family, we need think about everything carefully. What are your thoughts, Ian? Ouch. And here I thought I had a few years before having to slow down. Allie, it sounds like you have been thinking a lot about a variety of topics. I apologize. Ian. Ideas have been formulating in my head, and I wanted to speak with you. I think they're great ideas. Allie, you have a sharper business mind than I do. Perhaps we could open another office in Pinnacle or elsewhere. We could help to support the local businesses there, and we'll need more folks. Because you will be busy with your family for the next few years. Better cherish who I am right now, for everything will change once the kids arrive. Are you okay with that? Sure. As long as you can handle situations when I need you. I still can't believe how committed you are to this, simply because you have been working for your goals since you were a child. It's the same with you. It's still relatively new to me. I know we will face problems, but I believe in ourselves. On second thought, I will retain mine anyway. I'm confident there will still be lots of alternative options. I researched it, and because I'm small and you're so huge, I might require some assistance during birth. In that case, my special area remains very special. You're lucky. Ian. I forgot my meds this morning. Can we start talking about the first little one? Smiling. Only if it is a boy. Ron began working over the semester break. He fit quickly in and oversaw a large portion of the firm, and Dillard is giving the pair some time off for Christmas. Ian and Allie took a few of days off. Ron covered and even worked until noon on Christmas Eve to make last-minute sales. Ian's parents arrived a few days early and slept at a local bed and breakfast because the flat was completely booked. They made the visit and Christmas memorable. Sled skating. They had a large tree and the apartment was fully adorned. The town always looked festive, and every establishment in each neighborhood was prepared for the season. Allie made stockings for each of them, filling them with treats. They all attended the Christmas Eve service and celebrated Christmas together, like Ian. They loved the region and the mountains, but the snow made it difficult to explore. They couldn't believe how successful the two were with their firm. They departed first, then went back to work. Allie arrived into the office with a determined expression on her face after speaking with a client. "Hello, Ron. Is Ian here?" "Yeah, he's in the back, mending stuff. Thanks." She went into the back and closed the door. "Ian, we need to talk about some issues." "What have you done now, Allie? You only call me my dear when you have something on your mind. It's like when my mother uses my whole name. You are being ridiculous. Why do I adore you? No, truly, there are no issues, only answers. Oh, no. You are expecting. No, Ian, I wish I was, but not this month. First, we need to talk about the business. Ron is doing quite well, don't you think?" He nodded. "He is energetic, knowledgeable, and enjoys using his computer and gaming talents. He's terrific with customers and has helped us expand our business, particularly in Dillard." "Agreed." He nodded again. "So I'd like to give him 5% of the company if he continues to work with us. That figure may increase year after year. He stays up to a maximum of 33%, which is 1/3 for me, 1/3 for you, and eventually 1/3 for him. This manner, he benefits from our growth together. Does that sound good?" He nodded. "And if we don't accomplish this, he will most likely leave and establish his own firm. That may compete with ours. Do you see my point? Excellent idea. Let's do it. Why do you keep saying agree? I read a book on negotiating, and that is one of the strategies recommended." Oops. Perhaps I should not have stated it. Now let's get intimate. "No, Allie, we can't discuss it with Ron. Just outdoors. Not so foolish. I could probably make him laugh without being too loud. I wanted to discuss the wedding. I had a plan. First and foremost, I wanted it to arrive as soon as possible, like in a month, right?" "Yes, but come on." She laughed. "What? Are you afraid you will agree?" "More than you want. Second, I want your family to be present, and anyone else you like." He nodded. "And I realize it's winter, and I'm talking about February, and I know it's a little tough, but I want to marry." "Where?" "I met you at the base of the rocks. I checked with state officials, and we can acquire special authorization to get there by snowmobile. It should just take a few hours rather than 2 days, depending on how your family reacts. Are you with me?" He simply stared at her. "I will take that as a yes. I have previously looked into rentals. We may use the snowmobiles to tow sleds loaded with tents, food, and a stove, among other things. We can have a large tarp to sit on. I'd like to wear a white dress and appear like a snow queen with flowers in my hair, and a bouquet of evergreens to commemorate our special day." "Ian, I really don't want to wait for summer, please." He still seemed unsure. "And it will not be prohibitively pricey, Mr. Frugal. How about a minister, Allie?" "How do we persuade one to join us in the Rockies woods in February?" Allie replied. "We could end up like the people of Donner Pass." "Come on, stop being overly theatrical. We know how to stay warm during the cold. If things get too rough, we can always return home. There are no dangerous hills, therefore no avalanches or anything of the sort. But who will lead the ceremony? Actually, our state allows us to marry ourselves. It's called solemnation. Can you believe that word? It's 5 syllables. See how smart I'm becoming? We're formally married as long as we fill out the proper form and return it within 60 days with the required money. I doubt you and your family would support such concept. We can even ask someone who has been ordained online to officiate the ceremony. Ron has consented to get ordained if we pay the cost. He might assist with the ceremony and either stay with us overnight or simply return home. Okay. No, Ian. I honestly believe this might work. What? You said okay? She ran forward and embraced him tightly. Thank you very much. This month I will only prepare in a way that allows for our future together. To be sure. I'll be careful. Thank you. Ian. And I should note that your family is coming for the first weekend of February. I've already scheduled their flights and rented a car. I've booked snowmobile rentals, winter camping gear, and created a list of all the food and supplies we'll require. I have everything arranged in Excel spreadsheets. Are you not proud of me? He shakes his head. So, my love, I am guessing you expected me to say yes, due of your new negotiation abilities. Okay, I know you want to make me happy. And you claimed it didn't matter much to you. Plus, I have several ways to express my gratitude. So I figured. Ian, look. I really want to become Mrs. Ogre Turner as soon as possible. I realize things are more relaxed now, but I do not want to be uncomfortable when we marry. You mean you're going to let yourself go and gain weight? Ian, I am not even going to respond to it. I believe you play a minor role in all of my excellent cooking. I'm so excited that I can barely contain myself. Ian, I'll be the best wife. I will work very hard to make you happy. Relax, Allie. Please give me a moment. No, we aren't doing that here. Oh, please let me know when you're ready. It won't take long. I will ensure that everything is flawless. Then we can return to work as if nothing occurred. Nice and simple. Allow me to assist you with this. As she went away, she gave Ron a thumbs up and smiled. Go get ordained, Ron. That poor guy. Did he never have a chance, Ali? Nope. They arrived at the trailhead parking lot in the early morning. The sky was clear but for a few dark clouds that floated over the mountains, bringing a few light snowflakes every now and again. The weather was pleasant with temps in the 30s. They felt fortunate because there were no storms forecast for the weekend. 3 snowmobiles were set to leave, each pulling a heavy sled behind it. Ian and Allie were in the lead, while his parents rode in the middle. Ron stayed in the back to keep an eye out for Ian's family, who were new to snowmobiling. The track was easy to follow. There was enough snow to slide across without getting trapped. The woods were calm. As the day warmed up, a few birds chirped, but the deer had relocated to their winter feeding grounds, and the smaller animals were resting. Except for the sound of the motors, everything was quiet. The green firs and spruces illuminated the woodland, contrasting with the bare aspens and maples. Isn't it gorgeous, Ian? Thank you for bringing us here, Allie shouted over the din. What would typically take 2 days to walk? They did it in slightly over 3 hours. Wow, Allie, you fell down there. You're lucky you only got a few scrapes. And you, Ian, helped her all the way up those rocks. I'm not sure how I feel about climbing down those rocks, especially with all this gear. Even if we make it to the clearing, how do we get it back up? You're correct, Mama. Let's search around for an easier way down. If we can't find one, we can use ropes. And the sled I brought to transport our belongings. Ian. I looked at the maps for this area, and it appears there is a gentle climb ahead. Should be simple unless there are a lot of bushes and tall plants. Ian and Ron exchanged looks. Did you look at the maps? Of course. I checked them before organizing this trip. Surprised, she winked at Chris. I'll go a little higher up to locate the gradual slope Ron recommended. Why don't you check back to see if there's anything else? Fortunately, a little farther up, They discovered a passage through the trees that led to a smooth descent to the clearing. They were able to quickly remove the snowmobiles from the bottom of the slope. Ian cleared an area in the snow and rearranged some rocks to form a circle. He lit a fire with the wood they had brought. Ali, why don't you and my family look for additional dry wood nearby? Ron and I can put up the tents and begin unloading. These tents set up quickly, so it shouldn't take long. I'll also heat some water for coffee, chocolate, or whatever. They had everything set up within 1 hour. They sat around the fire on the rocks. Ian had cleared, and he was enjoying some warm drinks and lunch. Ian offered Ali a peanut butter sandwich while smiling. Thank you, Ian. I never expected to be able to eat these again, but right now it seems great. Thank you for bringing it up, but I will not eat 5 or 6 like last time. Everyone laughed at this. So, Ali, it is still early. Do you want to have the ceremony today or tomorrow? Ian, I think it would be lovely to do it tomorrow morning, when the first light appears and a new day begins. Here in the woods, we will not see the sun till later, but we can accomplish it once the forest awakens. How does that sound? And Ron, you can return if you wish. Alternatively, you can stay. It's nice to have someone like you around, she remarked, smiling. In the meantime, how about we put on the snowshoes? You can demonstrate your skills to me. Mountain Man, Chris. Don, are you warm enough with the garments we've got for you? Well, Ian, I think we should go to bed early. We've got a busy day tomorrow. Everyone agreed and went to their tents. Ian, what are you doing? You can't sleep yet. You have stuff to do, Ali. We cannot. My folks are right there in their tent. They will hear us. Ian, please listen. Hear that? They are making noise right now. Can't you hear it, Ali? No. My folks are not creating any noise. I do not hear anything. Wait. What exactly did she say? Hold on. Don, I'm covering his ears. He said, la la, la la. I do not hear anything, Ali. I can't hear what you are saying. My parents do not do that. It is not true. If you keep doing this every time they come around, we will be unable to see them. Ian, remove your hands off your ears, as I told you. Your mother stated your father was a terrific charmer. They spend almost all of their time together. She stated he enjoys surprising her. It did not make sense to me. It's all quite confusing. Ali, stop. I will never be able to look at them again without thinking about it. Seriously. First, there was that conversation, and now this. I'm going to be concerned now. I'll need aid after this. She laughed. Okay, Ian, just so you know, I will not let you forget this when we are older. If you want me to be quiet, you will have to ask respectfully. Now come here and do it. But it is true what she said the next morning. Well before morning. Ian, wake awake. With all that snoring, you're shaking the snow from the trees. It's time to get up and light a fire. I need to get ready. Leave without looking. It is bad luck to view the bride on her wedding day. He groaned and said something. Also, send your mother in. She wanted to help. An hour later, she was prepared. It was just getting lighter. A long white garment that fit her well. She showcased her form in a delicate rather than bold manner. She wore long johns with boots underneath. She imagined a touch of spruce with some holly berries in her hair and a small bunch of fir and berries fastened to her clothes. Minister Ron stood with his back to the warm fire. Ian, dressed properly in a tuxedo, stood to the right. His parents were off to the side, shooting photos with their phones as she walked away. The edge of her skirt brushed against the snow. She faced Ian, who walked forward and hugged her affectionately. You look stunning, Ali. Thank you, Ian. Thank you for everything. You have made me the happiest woman, and I promise to work hard every day to make you the happiest man. Dearly beloved, we have gathered here. Following the ceremony, they had a brief moment of tenderness. Then Ian went over to Ron's tent and took out a large box. He put it on a small stand. They'd set up and smiled. Go ahead, Ali. Open it. Inside, there was a lovely layered cake topped with an ogre figure. She came forward and hugged him again. You'll always be my prince, Ian. Thank you. Let us save the top layer for our anniversary and enjoy the remainder. Now. Ron soon packed everything and stated, "I have a date and do not want to be late." His parents agreed, stating, "We should give you two some time alone. We'll see you when you're back." He leaned near to Allie. "I might break my lovely husband if we remain too long listening to you two again." They all chuckled. "Thank you, Allie, for bringing my son back to life and happiness." The newlyweds spent their day enjoying each other's company, and as night fell, Allie said, "Ian, I need to go to the restroom. Would you carry me to a log and set me down like old times?" He stared at her, bewildered but amused. "All okay, if you want me to. Just kidding, dear hubby. I enjoy saying that. Mrs. Turner can handle everything by herself." She stepped outside the tent, and after 15 minutes he heard her exclaim with delight as she ran back inside. She jumped onto him. "I didn't believe it was possible. But you've made me even happy. Look." He glanced at her, trying to figure out what she was carrying. It was so close that he could not see it well. He shrugged, indicating he did not understand. "What will I do with you, Ian? It is a pregnancy test, and the results are positive. I'm pregnant with a girl." He held her tight. "This is fantastic, Allie. But how can you tell it's a girl? It simply seems right. Her name will be Autumn, because that's when you saved and transformed my life. Then came winter, spring, summer. Each will have her own name for the season. If we have more, we'll use names like Willow and Lily. I should have known you were planning a name. Really, Autumn. Yes, it's a beautiful name. She'll adore it too. She will be born in the fall, and each stage of her life will remind us of our time together. Every year will bring a new chapter in her life that we may share with her, until we are quite old, and you will be an excellent father. Please don't treat her too much. And what if they're boys? It's that simple. Ogre, Turner, Junior, Ogre, Turner, the second. Ogre, Turner, the third. You see, they're lads, and boys always have nicknames, right? Do you agree with me?" They both laughed at the idea. He admitted to feeling unsure. "Yes, sure. Now let's make a change so that I can express my thankfulness. But I'm keeping my shirt on because it's quite cold in here.